Oh, hello, everybody out there. I see J Rod's here. Hey, J Rod, haven't seen you in a while. I mean, once in a while I get a text from you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're getting to the kind of wing of dam and getting some eagle shots and stuff down your neck of the woods or close to your neck of the woods anyway. And we're going to wait till we have some more people in here before we get real serious on the show. Of course, when are we ever serious? That's questionable. But so we got let's see. Yeah, we'll wait till we get some more people.
And I keep an eye get from the stuff here. So we are live already, so that's fine. And indeed, we have.
Oh,
Hey, goody.
I think Roy's got a bird attack going on.
oh yeah, Mac.
I've got one that likes to eat the house.
Oh
Eats
man,
the house. And it's not called a woodpecker either, is it?
No, it's not. It just does it anyway. I can have 50 cockatoos there, and one of them will eat the house.
April's eagle time at the dam. Yeah. Now, I've never gone there. My friend Bob has gone there when he lived in Philadelphia, and he said, I'm sure things haven't changed much, that if you want to go there and there's so many people that try to get there to get the shot, that you got to get there like at 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever, so that you get the prime spots, is from what I hear. So I'm sure you're probably stuck in that situation where you got to get there extremely early just to get the best viewpoint for of the dam and when the eagles are getting active. And speaking of Bob, here he is. And Robert's here to fill the body count. I always like that, We're gonna wait till we have at least double digits in here before we start rambling a little bit.
But we can start rambling. Let's go around the corner and see what people have been doing.
Okay. Well, let me throw out, because I'm gonna throw out a first. We'll just say to everybody, welcome to the April 18th Photo Lounge Live General Discussion. We do not have any structured scheduled presentations for this show of any length, and Gustavo's been working on his first video and learning that it's a little more of a pain in the neck to put one together than he probably thought it was going to be, and trying to learn Final Cut Pro. I don't care. You get the manual. You get the manual. It's so huge that unless you're gonna like hide in a cave for a month, it take you forever to try to say that you're fluent with that app. I mean, what I found is I just bare minimum, know what I got to use to do a certain thing, and as long as I don't not do a video for 3 months or something, I kind of remember what I have to do. But if you wait too long, you just forget.
Problem, and I because I have kind of an idea in mind, and you try to put it together, and then you say, do I have sufficient clips, or how do I put the clips? And you guys know me. I try to do things that are a little bit beyond my pay grade. So put some music, and then I got into trouble. Okay?
Well, you can fall into the rabbit hole and never get out.
Exactly.
So I'm going to throw a question out here, and as the gentlemen before you on the panel can think about it and try to answer that question for themselves, and I'm going to present, and then hopefully those of you in the chat could then respond how you feel about this question. But I'm going to throw it out here is, let's see. So and I'm addressing this to everybody, for your personal photography, is your current gear adequate to accomplish your goals at this time? Or are you anxiously awaiting new products from your manufacturer of choice? And if so, what products in particular. So, irregardless of the brand you shoot, because that doesn't matter, are you awaiting something that you feel you have to be able to do what you like to do, or are you at that point where I'm pretty happy with everything I got, and maybe I'll get something now and then, but I'm pretty well satisfied. So we'll start over with Roy, and we'll go wrap around clockwise here.
Well, I'm pretty happy with the Z9, Z8. Not happy with the ZR. It hasn't got an EVF. I can't adapt. My favourite camera at the moment is still the D850. I've gone back to it.
Now, do you think I would think they will come out with an EVF at some point, wouldn't you think?
It's called a Z63.
Yeah.
I thought I could adapt, but I can't.
Well, I was looking at the Lumix came out with a couple small, all-in-one zooms. I used to have I had a few Panasonic Lumix cameras over the years, and I always liked them. Although sometimes, because they're smaller and the buttons are small, sometimes, my big thumb wouldn't hit something properly. But anyway, they came out with a couple cameras, and I said, gee, maybe one of those cameras would be good just to throw it in the car and have it in the car and that type of thing. But just like you said, unfortunately, none of them have an EVF. It's just a rear screen. So I just scratched them off the list because I can't do that either. I have to be able to, especially you're shooting in the daylight, you can't see a darn thing on those screens in the sunlight unless you get one that get that accessory, that flips up and has the barn doors on it, that kind of blocks everything off that you can see. But other than that, I try to.
Got that. It's still not good enough.
Yeah.
I still keep picking up the camera and putting it to my eye.
Yeah, me too. I like to have that. Options are good, and they've taken that one away, which I think is not necessarily a smart move.
But you're right, Jeff. It's surprising that they haven't come yet with an accessory that is, that can be connected through the HDMI cable to the CR, that you can actually angle it and adjust it for what you want to do. That actually probably will sell well. But you're right.
It's I think they just maybe they don't want to. I don't want to word it. I guess they're pushing it so hard as a video camera, primarily a video camera,
Mhm.
that I think they're just hesitant to kind of like. It's almost like, oh, if we put out an EVF for it, then now we're saying, oh, well, yeah, we're putting that out so someone that's a photographer has an easier time using it, but it's supposed to be a video-centric camera. So I don't know. I mean, they had EVFs before on the old Nikon ones.
But
So it's not like they don't know how to
Looks
make it.
the same anyway. The same context look very similar.
Yeah.
It might actually work on the ZR.
No, I've already tried it. It doesn't work.
I knew somebody would.
Did you start a fire in your house, Randall? Did you start
No.
a fire?
The contacts weren't
They moved them.
it wouldn't fit.
yeah, but Jeff, I was referring to an EVF that is basically can be attached outside into a cage, correct? With the same way that they have the grip, correct? The MD whatever.
Versus putting one on the hot shoe.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I know they have. There are also ones that they can be put in the hot shoe that you can angle, right? But I think a more one that can be attached any place on a cage or in the handle of a tripod. Maybe that's something more for the kind of proper cinema camera, correct? That may be something. But anyway, let's go back to Roy. So Roy, so you're going back to the DA50?
I've been using that more the last few. But then again, I'm having trouble taking photos at the moment. I can't see a thing.
Okay.
Everything I take's blurry.
Well, you haven't cleaned a lens in about 6 months.
No, that's true. I normally don't have to.
Yeah. And we say hi to our friend Chuck, who's got the AP Studios light in the background and on the air with us crazy people. And Chuck, everything's going good.
Yeah, it's going real good. Lot of grass, just bed, has been had to be mowed. It's Jeffrey, if you got everything that you got need there, you shouldn't go anymore now.
You got a
Yeah,
riding
you're running out
mower,
of
right?
space.
Right, Chuck? You got a riding mower for your yard?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, mine's too small, but I used to I used to have I burned through many for some reason. Things like that always broke on me. But yeah, I'm in that state now with my I'm having trouble right now due to a bad shoulder, and I've only been going out with Bob like once a week now because just holding up the lens, cradling the lens is bothering it quite a bit. So I'm getting checked out in a couple days and I had an MRI done. So we'll see what they're going to do with me, but it's getting harder to take pictures. So right now, I guess it's a good time to say I got everything I need because I can't carry anything very well.
Yeah,
I'll have to pay Bob to carry my stuff for me. And Randall, why don't you let everybody know what your next project's going to be?
Well, I picked up a cognac brown ZF with the TT Artisans 35 millimeter, and it's f2. Wonderful pictures. I've always liked the camera. Now I went minimalist, so I didn't get a small rig grip, but I did get a thumb grip from Hague or Hoeg or whatever they call them. But
and what do you do with that tongue grip? What does it help you with?
so it's hard without a thumb grip, so you're pinching real hard. But with the thumb grip, it makes it a lot easier to hold.
Okay.
Okay. So a small rig has the grip, but I didn't want to hide this beautiful looking camera, with the thumb grip. So anyway, and then I picked up two lenses. One was the 35 to 100 Tamron, which is a Sony lens. And I can use the Megadap adapter to ETZ 21 Pro Plus to put it on the Nikon, which I have. Pictures look fantastic. And then, of course, I just picked up the Sigma 35 millimeter f1.4 DG Art version 2. And I'll be putting that on the Z8 and the ZF also.
I think I want
And
to
then
learn.
I did some videos on some wonderful looking snails that are eating up my brand new crepe myrtles. So
Okay.
I'm up to 50 now. I'm trying to fill up the whole little bucket. So more videos are coming.
And then
Just,
and then Randall's going to do a cooking episode using those said snails that you could watch.
So, Brando, keeping on the spirit of what Jeff was trying to do, obviously you are very
Yeah,
much.
I have everything that I'm happy. In fact, I'm downsizing. I
Oh.
got rid of Canon. I got rid of the L mount. All right. So I just had the Leica Q3 and then the M8 for Leica, a couple of point and shoots, a couple of film cameras. But basically, it's just Sony, which is the A7CR and the A7 V. And then I have the ZR, the ZF, and the Z8 for shoots. And then I have 3 ZRs for this studio. So
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
Oh, and you got the DF too, don't you?
Yes, and I also
Yeah.
have the D610 and the D500, but
Yeah,
it's either
see?
Nikon and Sony. That's all I have.
I knew you had the DF.
Yeah,
But are you particularly looking forward or
it would be lenses.
lens?
Yeah, lenses. So I'm looking at the 600 millimeter, and I'm looking at the 800 millimeter, and I said I don't know. So I got the 180 to 600. That's pretty good. So I might just go with the 800. But if you use the teleconverter, I don't know. Um, I like the zoom because sometimes you're too close, and then if you use a teleconverter, you can get that reach. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself. I would just say, um, how often do I shoot the types of subjects where I am going to use that lens? Because I think you would find that um, for quite a bit, the 180 to 6 actually does rather well.
Yeah.
And obviously, whether it be the 600 or the 800, they're not exactly chump change, as they say.
Well, I got the equivalent in the F mount, so I got those lenses here. So but they're heavy, a lot heavier. But I got it good at bargain price. So I still use F mount lenses also. So
And Mr. Gustavo, go to you.
So in terms not what I have been doing, but cameras and stuff like that, I still want to see what the next generation of cameras are because I'm okay with the kind of glass that I have, correct? The long telephoto because that's what I mostly shoot, correct? So I got what I want lens wise. There's a couple of lenses that I will be interested, but I do want to see what this new C9 offer, particularly because I do want to have pic capture every now and then. On the kind of thing that I do, I say, if I have pic capture, it will be a little bit easier. Not that I cannot do it; it will be a little bit easier.
You just gotta like swallow hard and say, I know it's JPEG.
I have tried that, and I use it occasionally, but I ended not liking at the end because you lose a lot of flexibility. Correct? So I'm holding some of my powder dry just in case that, although you know how it is, if the new C8 or the new C9 comes in, we here are not going to see it for month and month and month, unfortunately. Okay? So we're going to be into that situation. Lens wise, I actually looking forward to see, uh, despite what Randall was saying, or in addition to what Randall was saying, is I do think that Nikon had to come with another zoom telephoto lens, okay? Uh, that is a little bit complement the 180 to 600, okay? Uh, Maybe with fixed aperture, correct? So I not desperate for that one because I have the 180 to 600, but I'm interested. Actually, the 180 to 600 is out of my telephotos, the one that I use, uh, the Beast. Correct. Now I do want to have a telephoto macro. Correct. I want to see that, but I'm interested to see whether they offer anything on the wide angle side. Right.
Yeah, they need to have something like 12, 14, 16 millimeter fast primes
Yeah.
is lacking and has been really from day one on the Z mount.
Exactly. So apart from, so that's what I'm saying. I have been keeping my powder dry because not that I have not been buying stuff, but I've been buying a lot of gadgets and stuff like that. But I'm perfectly happy with the Z8 and Z9 together. That takes care of what I need to do as a photographer. Right? It's almost very difficult to think that it could be a much better camera than a C9 or a C8. Right? They had to make very compelling, and in cases like me, yes, to get the new ones. But let's see what they offer. Right?
Well, and the problem you have now, if you unless you have a lot of extra memory cards, if you buy a new camera and you need to get memory cards, you're going to have a heart attack when you see how much the memory cards cost, and you might. So it's like that's
The XQD again.
And luckily, I do have some cards, so it's not like the camera arrived and I don't have any memory card to put on. Correct? I'm sure that our CF, yeah, the Type B CFE Express card would work with that with the
yeah.
new camera as well. So I don't think, I upgraded to version 4, so I have at least 6 cards with version 4. So I should be
You're
okay.
good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
You're good.
And top of what I have been doing, Jeff alluded to the point. I have been trying to learn Final Cut Pro because there is a lot of activity on the early spring, and I wanted to do a video for you guys, which I tried to promote it, but it turned out that I digging myself into a big hole, so it's still not to the quality that I want to show it off. Although I have a lot of clips, so I have a lot of my memory occupied with clips on cards and discs and stuff like that. But knowing how to combine them with the music and with the stills, is still a little bit of a mystery for me. I also have
Well, I can show you all that.
well,
I've done videos on that, but yeah, I can show you.
I may have to give you a call, but like anything on this type of thing, I have to struggle by myself. And then when you not to make the intelligent question, then you can call your friends and say, "Hey, how do I ask for this at random?" One of the things that I need to add eventually is narration. Correct. So how do you record your narration? Do you record it on your microphone and then you bring the file in, and then or do
That's an easy one. We could tell you in about 10 seconds how to do that. That's
exactly.
real easy. Yeah.
Because the last time on my professional career, when I had to do a long presentation, 30 minutes during COVID, that needed to be narrated, correct? Man, I that was a pain in the rear, correct?
Just
Just to
do us a favor. Don't sing on you. Don't sing.
I
I, I talked to your wife. She told me don't let him sing.
yeah,
Don't let him sing.
I leave the singing to you, Mr. Jeff, for Christmas.
Okay,
Only
yeah.
Christmas.
Let's say hi to the folks we got here and that are joining us tonight, and then we'll continue on here. And we got J Rod popped in here early, and Robert Varner. Varner is taking up space in the body count category, and Bob Our Photos is here, and check out. He's got a neat video on a. We got some really nice pictures, and Bob got a nice short video clip right now on a pied-billed grebe. We got it. It was like in like the mucky water near the reeds because they've lowered the water. They're lowering the water in the pond again, so all the crap is starting to look more like a swamp than a pond. And the grebes were in the green muck, and they were actually eating baby eels.
Oh,
So
wow.
video and stills between the two of us of those pied-billed grebes. And one thing I didn't know, I had to look it up, was I'm like, that looks just like this other bird I've taken pictures of before. And I find out the pied-billed grebe has a vertical stripe that goes down the bill, but during mating season, when it's not mating season, that stripe isn't there. And I didn't realize that. So I thought I was looking, when I look back on old stuff, I thought it was two different birds that looked similar but different, as they say. But it was actually the same bird. But in mating season, they have a vertical stripe on the bill. So there's Bob's got a nice short video of it feeding in that stuff. So check that out. And then we got who else we got in here? David Stewart. I don't know what he.
Well, I saw him pop in, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't read Klingon, so that doesn't help me. The and then we got yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna. Robert's got his D500 still, which is a great camera. And it's like like we say, just because something is older doesn't mean as new cameras come out, it's not like when a Z9 II comes out, all of a sudden your Z9 is a piece of crap and you throw it in the garbage can. It isn't how it works. Robert's saying hi to Chuck. And we got King Crux here, and who else we got? We're up to 15 people, so there's got to be more people in here I haven't seen yet. Maybe not. No, I guess that's it. I think this, for some reason, it doesn't feel like it's the third week of the month.
Yes,
and maybe that kind of threw people off a little bit, but it actually is. And of course, and then we're going to have the same thing next month, is because the next photo review is on May 2nd. So it's like, boom, you just get into May and whack, got the photo review. And then, you go out a couple weeks and you're going to think it's not the third week of the month. What are we doing on air? We shouldn't be on air right now. But anybody in the chat has a question, just put the QQQ in the beginning there. So we collectively, one of us will see it, hopefully, and make sure we bring it into the conversation. I think I had another. Let me find. I think I had another question here that I was going to throw out. Okay. This is just another potential point of conversation. Is wondering how many people change their photographic preferences or their genres, even depending on what time of year it is. And what I mean by that is, like, I know, some people are really into the wildflowers in the springtime. So maybe, in the spring, they're doing just a ton of macro photography and close-up photography, but then maybe the rest of the year they're shooting totally different types of stuff. And I'm just wondering, do we have people that tend to kind of like switch their genre or switch to another genre that they like at certain times of the year? Or do you focus on, if you do, wildlife and birds, do you do wildlife and birds year round and you don't really shoot anything else? Or, what are people's preferences? What do they tend to do? That's my question.
I think. Well, let me tell you. For me, as a nature photographer, I do try. I don't succeed, but I do try. Correct, because I try to take advantage of what is available. Correct. So I will. That's what I was trying to do at this time of the year. We is starting on the nesting season here in Colorado. So I will go for looking for the nesting birds, correct? And then when the wildflowers come in, or when the arrival of the hummingbirds, or the rot in the October. So actually, Jeff, for me, it will be try to, my aspiration, this is aspiration, that's not real, correct? Is to have a more schedule that I can even put it in my calendar so I can organize trips or opportunities as I go along. But they're always the same genre, right? Unless I try to do something, a special trip, focus on something specific, or landscape or something like that. But I aspirational, I want to be like you in terms of on that aspiration, that changing with the season. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Bob and I get the itch sometimes where, after a while, sometimes, we're not really near, like, half a dozen great places to go for wildlife photography, unless you're really going to travel and do a weekend trip or something like that, so we're kind of concentrated, in some limited areas. Let's word it that way. So sometimes, we get the itch and we say, it's kind of getting a little dead over there, taking pictures. There's not a lot out right now. Of course, the birds are nesting right now too. So there's not a lot of birds necessarily in the pond or in the marsh because they're all in the nesting phase and starting to, lay eggs and things like that. So when you unless you have a good view of getting pictures of the nesting activity and the babies, then that's when, okay, it's time to switch gears. Let's go to Brick Green Gardens and bring our 24 to 120, bring our macro lens and start doing flowers and stuff like that. And then we also get the itch where we like to go and do street photography and take pictures at night. Not necessarily I like taking pictures, architectural street photos at night, with the colors of the signage and the xenon lighting and stuff like that of buildings and storefronts and things of that nature, more so than I'm not a astrophotographer. That's not my genre, and I can't afford nor would I have the time to add any more genres to whatever I do. But yeah, I like to switch after a while because sometimes you need to. Different genres get you to think differently creatively, and sometimes you need to get out of that consistency of doing the same thing all the time, and you got to switch over and do something different.
Yeah.
John Ishii is here in the chat. He says where he lives, it's hot and hotter. Same flower. John, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. I hope your wife's doing well. Let us know if you're planning to do any more. You're going on any more travel excursions.
So you see this comment from James, from J. Rod, that he went to visit to Grace of Westminster last summer.
Well, now James, now you got to answer part 2 of that statement. The question is, did you buy anything at Grace of Westminster?
And that was last summer. Still, Con was still there, correct? So tell us more, James, or connect and tell us a little bit more of the story behind, because that will be
come on the panel and let us know how that experience was, because I'm sure many of us would love to have the opportunity to go there and check it out. You bought some film. Oh, you should have bought some rare and exquisite gear that they might have had in there.
It's almost like going to a museum, correct? And the type of the stuff that they have there.
Well, they at one time, I don't know, that I think Gray himself had a short video talking about how they had one of the cameras. I don't know if it was on loan or somehow they got it and they were selling it. I wasn't clear on that. Might have been something they had on loan where they had one of the Nikon cameras that was used in the Apollo days in their store. But I'm not sure if it was something that they had bought and owned or whether it was something that was loaned to them and they were just, looking at it and checking it out or what have you. But no traveling to Weird out there, and airline prices are, Got a goodie bag and a knit cap. All right.
But pretty soon they'll add since of delays and stuff, they'll add the toothbrush and toilets and little sanitizer napkins and maybe a little something to drink, from the bar.
Yes. That would be interesting to go. But anyway, let's go back to what we were talking about.
Yeah. Well, John, I guess, was at one time looking to maybe get a D5, but it had 500,000 on the shutter, so he didn't do it.
That's not bad on a D5, though.
Well, what were they rated? What were they rated for? Chuck, you taking off?
Yeah, I'm gonna take off, man.
Okay.
Nice to
I
see
don't.
you.
Whoever, hey, what person came up with this time?
Yeah, I don't know.
Me.
I think he's 2 squares over from my finger.
Uh, yeah. All right.
So John, we're going to have we're going to have I think when Luis make a presentation when we discuss this, he's going to make another Wednesday presentation. So I take you well in advance so that you can have a midday Wednesday spiel.
Okay. That sounds like a good thing.
Good
All
deal,
right.
right?
See y'all. See y'all tomorrow or next week.
Whenever.
2 weeks from now. See you.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. The we could yeah, I mean it's like I don't I keep seeing other off brands, coming out with these few camera companies coming out with 200 millimeter macro lenses. And I really wish Nikon would come out with a 200 millimeter macro lens.
Yes.
Me too.
But because I'm just really I have a few third party lenses, but I'm not enamored by them. Let's put it that way. Where I want to have a lot of third party lenses, and I just wish that there's I think we collectively we've all talked about we need more fast wide angle primes, maybe another wide angle zoom. Need I would like to see a 200 millimeter macro lens. Gustavo mentioned that maybe another zoom for some something that complements the 180 to 600. A lot of it seems like with some of the lenses that are coming out from other manufacturers and this could just be it's all marketing, right? Everything is marketing, and as they say, as someone that we all know says, it depends on your use case. I mean, if I'm shooting in landscape, I don't need a 1.2 lens.
Yeah.
Okay, I can shoot with an f4 lens. I'm stopping it down anyway. I'm not going to shoot it wide open. Now flip it the other way, and what would you do if you're going to now use that for astrophotography? And then that changes the rules of the game, and you would tend to go the other way. But you see certain lenses that are soon to be announced, or in some cases might have already been announced by some other camera companies, where they're coming out with very, very fast telephoto lenses, or faster telephoto lenses. So we're going to have to see what that may just be a marketing trend, but I guess I would just caution. I caution myself when I see that and say to myself, do I really need that?
Yeah.
Because you don't have great depth of field with you're not using if you got a long piece of glass, and let's just make it up, say it was an f2. Okay, you're not using it for depth of field. You don't have crap for depth of field with a telephoto or a long glass anyway. You'd only be doing it for light gathering capabilities. So sometimes you want that fast lens for bokeh. If you're doing portraits and stuff, you want to be able to have good separation. You want to have nice bokeh. You're doing portrait photography or whatever. Other times you want it because you shoot in low light situations a lot and you really need it for that. But other times, if you had that, you're paying a lot of extra money. You're not talking like, oh, that glass is $500 more than a lens that you have that's the same focal length. You're talking thousands of dollars more.
No, you're right. I mean, it's like we were talking about, for instance, that 24-7 version 2 with the new motor, with the voice coil motor that is faster, right?
Nice.
It's nice and it's tempting. But the question that I make myself is, would I, since I would use it for landscape, would I use that in preference of the 24-120, which is excellent for landscape and a very nice. And then and it will be heavier, occupy more space in my bag. And the answer is probably not, right? So they have to. Uh, it makes it difficult. Now there are some characteristics of this lens and the new 70 to 200. They're attractive, but you're talking about in excess to $2,000 for a nice, very nice lens. But do they really complement, or they going to change when you take it to the field? Right? That for me is the trick. Well, if I travel, which one will I put in my bag? And it's very difficult not to put that 24 to 120. Right?
Yeah, I use that lens for environmental shots, landscapes. I use it a lot for street photography.
Exactly.
I know that it's very easy to say, "Oh, I'll get a Voigtlander lens," a 50 millimeter, a fast 50 millimeter lens to put on my ZF or what have you, and use that. And I do have a relatively fast 50 millimeter lens I could put on that camera, but it's nice to be able, when you're in a with street photography, the flexibility of a zoom, it really makes a big difference, because sometimes it's just like you can't, sometimes you cannot get safely close enough to what you want to shoot with that 50 millimeter lens, whether it be traffic constantly going by you or whatever, and you really need to like get to a different position and use a zoom to be able to get that image that you want, because it's going to be very hard for you to get it with a shorter focal length lens. And that 24 to 120, is just such a kick-ass lens, excuse my language, as a general purpose lens for like I said, scenery, landscapes, cityscapes. It's just great. And I personally, if I'm doing night photos, I got the camera on a tripod. So do I care that if there was an F2 version of it, would I spend the extra money for it? No, because I'm using it on a tripod. So what if I have to, take it for an extra 10 seconds or whatever to get the result I want? It's not going to change what I get in the end. So it would be hard pressed for me to spend that extra money to get something like that. But everybody's different. Everybody has different scenarios, and so I don't criticize them for for doing what they're doing, because for somebody that's what they've been waiting for a long time, and that's great. But the tendency is, just because a lens has that capability, really go back and look how you shot with the lens you got now that's a similar focal range, and look at the data and see what f-stops you use most of the time.
Exactly.
Okay, are you always shooting it wide open and then complain that I wish I gotta wait too long for this? I want to get this shot and I can't get it because I need that extra stop. And if you're always shooting at f8, like f8 is like a default for a lot of people. A lot of people do portraits and stuff, and they shoot at f8.
And if you're doing landscape, for sure, that's not a bad idea.
Right. The landscapes, you're shooting f8, f11, probably not much past that.
So since we're discussing that particular lens, let me have the opportunity here to tell a little bit of story about that lens and how I have been accessorizing that lens. Because one of the things that I did like a lot of the new lenses is that hood that has a little window, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Randall, you have that one, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So it just happened, and I will mention that later. It just happened that I was watching the video from Hudson Henry, right? That he was talking about the 70 to 200 version 2 that also had the little window.
Yes.
And in a video, he mentioned that same hood actually fit his planner. So I said, "Oh, that's interesting." Okay? And so I went and checked how much was the hood. Now this is a Nikon hood, okay? So just for a piece of plastic, you pay an arm and a leg. So I felt a little bit cheated and stupid, Jeff. Okay? But I ended up buying the hood for the 70 to 200 version 2 to put in my planner. Okay? I, I, I actually, that's one of the things that I wanted um, to do. And he said, and he sent you something here, Jeff. So
Yeah.
tell the story, you can look for it. So I said, oh, that's interesting that you can use it because I really want, and I tell you why, right, in a second. But so I ended investigating. Okay, maybe I should buy them. So I went to B&H and went to Amazon and looked for it. As I said, felt a little bit bad because you're spending money on a piece of plastic that they're charging you a lot. Okay? And then actually ended buying that. And the reason is simple. The last year when I went to Iceland, I was using that uh, seven the 24 to 120 a lot, right? And in a place like Iceland, you wanted sometimes to use, the um, neutral density filters, or you want to use a lot of polarizer lenses. I was doing a lot of landscape, right? And I have two systems of polarizer lens, one a K system, but I have a very expensive old, um, I think it was CP16 Nikon polarizer for 70 millimeter, and actually I lost that one in that trip to Iceland. Right? And part of the problem was, as you guys know, in order to operate that with the regular hood, you have to get inside your fingers, and then sometimes you loosen the lens. Correct? And say, that little window will be a thing so that you can put your finger and rotate your polarizer. Well, so I actually ended buying for this one. Now, my CP16 lens, I left it, but I do have my case. When I try the case, well, because I have I think it's an 85 millimeter, which is oversized, so that I can use it on my 85 millimeter front lens. On this one, then it doesn't fit. This hood doesn't fit anymore. So I ended up buying another another polarizer lens to complement, like to complement, so that I can use it because I do want to have the opportunity to rotate my polarizer on this one. Now, I was going to make a little bit of a show and tell, a proper show and tell today for you, but that new polarizer hasn't arrived yet. Okay. And because I had to buy another now properly sized polarizer. Okay. And because I know the case 77 millimeter will probably fit because the 85 or 82 millimeter fit on my planer, and you can use the hood, but not for this one. So I was waiting for the stock to prepare it for you, but it didn't arrive yet. It's arriving on Monday. So you have to wait until next time that I tell you whether this hood works well with that one. Because I try an old Tiffin uh, 77 millimeter filter, and that one cannot rotate. It's too big again, so there is very little space in between the lens and the hood. Okay, so I'm not recommending to anybody to buy the hood, but I did wanted to have that hood before I do some trips because I do want to have the ability to manipulate the polarizer, through that little window. Right? Now,
Yeah, and the sad thing to say is the competitors came out with uh, that window on the lens
and
hoods
Jeanette,
prior to Nikon. So I mean,
and this is the kind of thing that you would think there must be some sort of patent protection on the way these hoods attach, correct? Because into this, because you would think that you could have almost Roy can print this type of hood in his 3D printer, correct? But there must be
Yes.
some protection that there is no third party hoods that are appropriate for the different lenses that have the little window, and it's because it's very well made, correct? It clicks and opens fine, but the price that you have to pay for this one is excessive, correct? So I ended buying anyway. Now I don't know whether this trip will take me in the wrong place, because maybe even the decal polarizer or the case polarizer that is adequately sized for this lens is appropriate. Okay? So anyway, so I have this new thing. Next time when everything is here and we get together, I will report. So I'm not recommending yet to buy this stuff. Okay. But I because if it works, I would like to have it in all my lenses. Correct? It's so much. Certainly, this one or the other one doesn't fit on my 14 to 24. Correct.
Yeah.
So, but it's a great thing to have that. So anyway, so that's one of the frustrations of the week, Jeff. That you buy
Well,
stuff.
you know,
I've
the
heard
bins.
people use the
We all know
polarizer,
Gustavo's an
one
we
or
know
the other,
Gustavo's an
both together.
influencer.
So
We we know Gustavo's an influencer, even though he says he's not. You know, we know the truth. I got James pictures.
Oh, good.
He sent me pictures from Gray's.
Okay.
So let me bring them up and show them.
that's good.
And hopefully it will allow me to just advance through them. I hope. I don't know. You never know how things are going to work out here. And let me, all right. Can I make it bigger?
Well, it's a practical. I think it's a good size. We can,
That's it. There we go. Okay, so I got James send me this through his iCloud link, so I have a little arrow and I could go through these. And obviously, I'm assuming the blue building here is gray.
It is.
Yeah, and I can see the construction too.
Yeah, on the top, up here is where it says Gray's name up here, and it says authorized. This says authorized dealer over here, and let me advance through these.
Oh,
There we go. The man himself.
that's good. That's good.
Oh, someone's trying to get out of the way.
Yeah. That's the butler. That's
Yeah.
the butler. That's like Alfred. Batman's butler, Alfred. But
What are those rounded case things at the bottom?
yeah, I don't know. Like briefcase, like hard plastic cases for something.
I haven't seen them.
Ah, okay.
And look at that box there with maybe for stop photography, Roy.
Don't they have like 3 floors, like the basement, where you walk
Yeah,
in
they
and
do.
then upstairs?
Yep, James, I am showing the images right
You can
now.
comment, James.
Yeah, you can make if you want. I'll stop here, and if you want to comment on the pictures as I show them, type something in if you wish to. I'll leave it up for like 30 seconds or so.
And I can handle the comments.
Yeah. So he's saying this was the lower floor.
Exactly.
Gray's is good because they only keep the best gear, best conditioned gear.
Exactly.
I bought a few things from them. Always been good. Putting things under glass, they must have known I was coming.
Yeah. Well, were you the guy that dumped your soda on one of the cases one time, Roy?
It wasn't soda.
Now I see boxes that say MD12 on it.
A lot of F stuff.
Yeah. Oh, those
The Nikon F
bottom
on the
left
top. Yeah.
cabinet, those are bellows, right, Roy?
Yeah.
Bellows on rails.
They only made about 6 models.
Yeah. I had that type of setup years ago on my Minolta, and I loved having a bellows attachment. I mean, as long as you were able to use a tripod, I mean, so nice and smooth and easy to focus, and it was really nice.
They have trouble finding places for the boxes too.
Oh, wow, F3s, a lot of F3s, D7200, D800s, Nikon FAs.
Oh, the old rangefinders. Okay.
Yeah, I see some SPs. Roy's favorite. Hey Roy, you must be excited about if you watched one of Matt Irwin's videos there the other day talking about the potential for a Nikon rangefinder camera, and I saw that and I says, "Oh, Roy's got to be really excited right about now."
I don't see a point for a rangefinder anymore.
So,
There was too much work in the day. Nikon F got rid of most of them.
so James, the shop looks relatively small. Is that was your impression when you got there?
Well, it could be a big building, but they got a lot of cabinets. You notice that?
No, he said that was the first floor, so I guess I don't know how many floors are in that building.
Yeah, I thought there was
that
like 3.
Yeah.
right. So
Basement and upstairs.
Yeah, but also there is a small. So he said,
It is a small shop.
yeah, but yes, typical.
Victorian style.
I'm sure in the top floor they have some office space for grays and all that stuff, and in the basement they may have some sort of. I believe that they got some repair stuff. It it's it's an old fashioned type of boutique type of shop in England, correct?
well, yeah, it would remind us of places that maybe that we, maybe not as fancy in terms of the nice wood cabinets that everything's in, but in terms of like a real comfortable place to go in and have an experience like maybe we did in the 70s, or when we were much younger. When you used to have mom and pop, in the days when you used to have mom and pop camera stores everywhere, before the bigger chain store opened up like Ritz Photo and stuff like that,
All gone.
and they're all gone now. Yeah.
I see black boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Z50. Yeah, Z50, Z9. The TC 2.0 TC.
Yeah, but you don't need a big shop to cater for the collector, right? So
Yeah.
this is dedicated to Nikon, right? So I think this.
It's got a lot of stuff in it because, like you said, it's just a brand. It's one
Exactly.
brand. I mean, that's.
I think they are carrying now Voigtlander lenses. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but remember they mostly deal with older collectible lenses, which are all Nikon, correct?
yeah, they're having a hard time getting Z lenses in. Everything is shipped to the Netherlands, and then they have to get a quota or whatever.
So which floor is this one, James?
Yeah. Now you're not going to find a camera store where we live where you walk in and somebody's dressed up like that waiting on
Exactly.
you. Sport coat and tie.
This is still in the main floor.
Yeah. It's got to be an experience though to go into a shop like that. You definitely won't find stuff like that.
I mean, considering the size of the shop, he had quite a few employees, correct? So they must have some, uh, uh, some turnaround of equipment sufficient to keep everybody that employed, correct? But I'd say more like a boutique experience, correct?
It's a bit more expensive than most places, but the quality is much better.
Exactly. Oh, that's good.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Blocking the view of the shop.
But I was first I congratulate James, but lovely. If I would have visited London, I definitely would go and see them just because we're so familiar with them, correct?
That's it,
Yeah.
guys.
Although I would say that I like the show better when it was Con
And Becky.
and Becky.
Yeah.
Yes.
These guys still have to grow into the show and to their knowledge, correct?
Well, they are doing a good job. They're putting up stuff that, but yeah, you have to get used to the accent of Chloe.
No,
You have a hard
No, I haven't really watched them. I guess have they changed it where they don't talk about film cameras that much anymore? Because I know Con
They
always
change
likes
it
to
all the
talk.
time.
Yeah,
They're more
Conway
into
is kind of
video.
like-
company for film cameras.
yeah. I do like when Mr. Gray shows up there and the stories of the cameras and the how he met some people and famous photographer, famous people, and the interaction that he has with special clients. That are always the best show, correct? But
Yeah.
these new guys have to, as I said, we have to let them grow into the channel and into their uh, knowledge, correct? But
But they're doing about 2 videos a week, which is pretty good. And I'm seeing a lot more of what is it, the 30-second shorts? They
Yeah.
had like what a lens being sold, and he's found a new home or something. So it's pretty entertaining.
yeah,
Um,
And then they said, yeah, it's going to Texas.
Yeah.
A guy named Randall.
but, James, thank you for sharing. That's
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
fantastic.
and that
Thank
would
you
be
very
a place
much,
I would
James.
like to visit. Yeah.
So here you can see continue my saga. Correct. Now you see here the planner with the 70 to 70 to 200,
Lens hood.
which fits well, except one problem. I can show you one. So this one there is no issue. Yeah, you can make it big, right? It fits well. I can put this one already has an adapter for the case lenses, correct? So the case filters, so I can put the case filters that they work well without having to take the hood on. But one problem, like anything, when when you hack stuff, sometimes it work. This doesn't fit this way. You can, I mean, you can.
Yes, right.
So it's the this part here of the plate is too wide for this one. So it fits well as a hood for this lens, but it doesn't fit. So as I said, guys, I will do something when I get everything and say whether I recommend it or no. I still don't mind having bought it, but think about that you're making a hack, and the hacks are always have some compromises, correct? But anyway, so that's one of my current frustrations and sagas that are ongoing. Now you have a 70 to 200, correct? In that one you can reverse it and
Yeah.
put it back. without a problem. It's just that the
I,
plane.
I never thought of using it on the Plena though.
Yeah,
So you've given me an idea.
yeah.
And I have used other lens hoods where it was missing some from lenses, and they worked fine on those other lenses. So
Provided you use a comparable, I think, in particular this tulip style of hoods, right? If you have a comparable range, like for instance, the 70 to the 24 to 70, a hood for a 24 to 70 will be okay, and of course, the planer, which is 135, will be within the range of a 70 to 200. Right? So it will also be okay. I still have to make some photos and make sure that there is no kind of cloudiness around, correct? Because again, it's a hack, correct? But indeed, it doesn't fit. And unfortunately, for other lenses that I have, uh, Nikon has not yet produced a hood, and the hoods are very expensive. So I call here for the third-party manufacturers, if they are not violating any kind of bayonet uh, pattern, they should build this type of generic hood with a little window, right? That are
I
appropriate.
like the old rubber ones and the old metal screw-ins. They're very handy. I've got a whole pile of them still.
Yeah, but definitely you cannot put a filter anymore.
Yeah, you can. Just put the filter on first.
Yeah, and you screw the stuff. But Roy, you were mentioning something about the Nikon polarizers. What is it that you mentioned?
The old film days, they used to have linear polarizers.
Okay.
You can't use them on mirrorless or they'll screw up your sensor look.
I still have the
You have
case.
to use
You got to use the CPL,
circular polarizers.
circular polarizers.
The
Yeah.
round type polarizer rather than a straight across
I
polarizer.
still have the case on the one that I left in. I think I left it in Iceland. The CP. They don't make this one anymore, and I do remember it was very nice, correct? But it was also because I remember that all the old one that the generic one. You can see another 75. As usual, we all have too much equipment, correct? So this is a generic Tiffin that I bought it actually in Frankfurt. So James was talking about. So this is a Tiffin that it worked fine, except with some lenses, right? Even this bigger rim here, you start seeing some vignetting because of the because of the rim.
You
So
can get thinner ones.
you get yes, and definitely
Yeah, you gotta then you gotta go spend more money and buy the real ultra thin
and this was that way, correct? And that's the good thing about the case thing because you put an inner rim, they actually fit recess into the lens, so they don't give you a kind of vignetting effect. But this was bloody expensive at the time. I think I paid quite a bit of money.
I think Tiffin make Nikon's polarizers.
Yeah, but they maybe But anyway, so as usual, we have too much equipment. But sometimes you trade equipment, and it's not that I don't use this one. It's just this one was so much better. And of course, I changed to the case filter. But obviously, these ones are also very nice. But they are too big because I think these are all in the 85 millimeter. But you can see they are compared with the Tiffany relatively thin. But you need that adapter, right?
I like the slip-in lenses, lens filters.
The one for the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to worry about lens hoods and things getting mucked up.
Yes. So anyway, so that's one of the. I report to you guys back when I get over this. I think by the next week I will know if I have my issue resolved. But now I have to carry a dedicated 70 millimeter on the 70 millimeter on this bag here.
Well, James, if you're gonna be looking for adaptability of larger lenses, medium format to Z, we have a source. They can custom make you anything you want. You know who we're talking about. You know who we're talking about. I think we're gonna jump a little bit to the rumors. We might as well start on some of the rumors. We'll start with what was published. Some of what was published. I don't believe you. I don't put down every single thing, or you could, it's this is just to perk your interest, and then you can always go to their own sites to get more information. But we'll start with Nikon rumors, and of course, one of the first things they pop up and they say, oh, the new 70-200 f2.8 version 2 lens is now in stock. But sometimes when they say that 3 days later, then they come out with another one, say it's no longer in stock. So take that with a grain of salt. I guess you never know. It was in stock when they wrote it was in stock. Now this is something David Stewart would probably get all excited about and I had to do a double take because I never heard of the company before, called Field Made, and they came up with what they call Nikon Z stealth kits, and basically it allows you to black out the Nikon lettering and the Z on the front of the camera.
That's what tape's for.
So if you don't want people to know what you're shooting, you could do that. I know David's talked about he puts gaffer tape or whatever on his to cover them up, and personally, I don't get overly worried about it. If they see I shoot a Nikon, unless there people are out there assassinating those of us that shoot Nikon gear, I'm not worrying about putting tape over it.
And it's not like that because you take the Nikon name that the David here is going to look less expensive. It's still going to look impressive and impressive to the regular person.
Yeah, it's kind of like what people do when they buy they get a lot of cars. Most of the car manufacturers, the model number, whether it's turbocharged, this, that, or the other, is chrome on a car, and then they buy the blackout kits to cover up the chrome so it doesn't show up as much. Or sometimes some people actually take the lettering right off the car completely. I've seen that too. I'm going to bring up as I talk about it let me get out of this one thing. There's a Kickstarter funded. I'm going to bring a picture of it up. Give me a second.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
There's a Kickstarter funded what they call the on back roll, and if you get and what it is basically a device that you have what looks like a roll of film, and obviously that goes into, this is meant to go in old film cameras and allow you to capture digital images with an old film camera. So if you're like me and you happen to like old cameras, old film cameras, but you want to not spend the money on film and the variables of getting it processed and developed for you, and you say, gee, I wish I had a digital camera back for my film camera. Well, this is probably the closest that you're going to find right now. It's you have to remove the pressure plate from your camera door. Your camera, you got to remove the pressure plate because you got this aluminum housing here, okay, and which is obviously thicker than what the film would be, and the sensor lays across the guide rails. I haven't quite figured out these pieces and how they interact with your spool. I'm a little confused about what these actually do. But they say you can capture RAW, JPEG, and 4K video with this device. It stores on an internal storage, so they have different price points. You could get one like this says. They say on back roll 256 gigabyte of memory. Well, you could get one, and it uses a 26 megapixel Sony IMX 571 APS-C type sensor, and prices vary. The early bird specials, you can get one with 64 gigabyte of memory, is like 460 to 512, depending on what's available when you go to the Kickstarter program. Sometimes they'll have multiple levels there, and some of the levels will be exactly the same, but it's kind of like, okay, if you were early enough, maybe you get it for X price. Then the same exact description is now still cheaper, but $50 more because you didn't act on it quick enough, so you got to kind of look at all the options. They have a 128, they got a 128 gigabyte version that's like $512 to $563, and they actually have a 250. The largest is 256 gigabytes, and works like a film roll. They're saying it's 4 millimeters thick. Remove the pressure plate, start shooting. So it says some cameras may require a custom or 3D printed back for a proper fit. So the back of your camera, depending on what camera, and they don't really tell you which ones would be a problem. So you hate to go and you spend $400 to $600 for something, and then you find out the camera that you wanted to put it in, the back puts too much pressure on it, and you got to have a custom made back for it.
And you're still not shooting film, so
So they're saying they do mention a few. They go bottom loading or tighter bodies like the Nikon F Contax 2 early alpha cameras. And it says very compact cameras may not fit, but the vast majority of classic 35 millimeter cameras are compatible. So I don't know. It's just kind of.
Let me ask you a question: would you buy this?
No,
I would not buy it until a lot of other people that have bought it and reviewed it and used it and say it's great, and then I might think about it. But I'm not going to be an early adopter and buy it early on.
Let's go through the rationality. Let's say you or I have an F3. Okay, is a heirloom type of camera for me, correct? Would I remove the plate to put this on? Probably not.
Not if the camera's in fantastic shape. I mean, if you had something that was kind of rough around the edges, then maybe, but not to me. I wouldn't do it on any camera that I own.
well, you see, I can't understand this. They said that it can do 4K video. I didn't know any film cameras that could do any video.
You just lock your lens open.
No, they have a what it is. They show it in one of the pictures, which I don't have here. Maybe Gustavo does on one of his pictures. They have like a little. They say one comes with one remote control.
Okay.
So it has probably a Bluetooth stick-on remote control that would go on the back of the camera that you use to take the picture, and maybe another one is like
One right after another. Okay.
record button type of thing.
So Jeff, my understanding for that little doohickey that you have in the back is because think about it. You have to synchronize the shutter with the exposure that is on that film, right? In that back, they call it that.
Yeah.
So apparently, when you operate the shutter, this has like a type of sonic sensor, or that basically say, this is when the camera is opening the shutter. So it has some issues, correct? Because the sensitivity of the sensor, the time the light hit the sensor, is also controlled in the electronics of this, correct? So it's a little bit. I think it's a little bit cumbersome. But the question that I have for us in the discussion, and Mossman saying here that he will buy one for a lesser amount of money, right? It's a novelty issue, correct? Is what do you achieve? Because I understand somebody like you put it around film, because that's the whole film experience. I still question the fact that you have to digitize it. Right? I'm digitizing a lot of my old slide correct? And I'm tempted to put an old film in my old camera just to test them, correct? But here you are not testing a film. You're not having the film experience. You're having
No.
probably
Well, the only thing you're having is the tactile
exactly.
feel of an old camera, and adjusting your shutter speed with knobs and stuff like that, and so you have that part of it. But I'll tell you, the thing is with film, it's what I find is when I want to use a film camera, and it's, I don't know if it's a mental block, I don't know what the hell it is, but I just can't finish that roll of film in a reasonable amount of time when I put it in a film camera. I just can't do it. I mean, it may sit in my cabinet for 6 months.
tell you, yeah,
It's in the way.
since I have been looking at my old photos, correct? As you guys know, actually, I was also a trigger free thing, a rapid three figure on my film, because I have a lot of the same photo on my film on my slide. So it comes with the style of photography that you do. But I think the fact that I think James declared as a novelty it is a novelty, correct? Because I want to ask somebody like I never use a digital back, correct? Now remember, digital backs like the one that Roy, and I'm going to ask Roy, make sense at the time that were not digital cameras, or do you wanted to use it instead of a digital camera? But the question for somebody like Roy is, what advantage you have between a truly digital DSLR or using a digital back? There was a benefit for that or not?
It's more work to use the medium format with a digital back. I sold my phase 1 off my Fuji. I just got sick of it.
And how do you control the digital? I mean, how do you synchronize the exposures in the digital back? I presume you have to give instruction to the digital sensor about what will be the speed of the.
Well, there's usually a couple of wires. It depends on which camera you're talking about. Like the Hasselblad has a couple of wires going, one to the shutter release on the lens, because the lens has got the shutter in it.
So it was communicating to the lens.
Yeah, it communicates.
Yeah, you have a connector because you got a leaf shutter.
Yes,
in the
it's
lens
very nice
itself.
to have.
So they interface with it with a little connector, right, Roy? A little
That's
connector
right.
on the
Little
lens.
PC card lead.
Yeah. But it's like I would not take apart anything on any of my cameras to put this in it. Let's put it that way. If it was a beat up camera or whatever, but then why bother? Why spend the money?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not attacking this product. I think indeed I was equally intrigued. Correct, when I saw it there in Nikon,
Yeah.
I was intrigued, and they said, "Oh, this looks like a good idea." But the more I think about it, the more I say,
Someone had the same idea about 20 years ago, and it didn't take off.
well,
Yeah, the more you think about it, the more you talk yourself out of being interested in it.
certainly not me removing the plate on my old cameras. I would not do that.
No, I wouldn't either.
I would if I was just using a spare camera to do it, but it just seems a lot of hassle. I'll just get the digital cameras out.
Now you notice that in the promo, I mean, we can go. Let me see if I can go there quickly. In the promo, they show it with Nikonos, correct? And the Nikonos kind of, although I don't know whether it will work, correct? But the Nikonos is kind of interesting, correct? Because the Nikonos was such a special camera. But how do they do the synchronization? Because you cannot bring any electronics out of that Nikono or have that doohickey that do the synchronization, correct?
Stuff around on the back of it, and it's going to leak.
Yeah. If you got it, yeah, that's. I don't see how that's going to work.
The military used a lot of Nikonos
Yeah, I mean, if everything, all this
all
stuff
that.
goes inside the Nikonos, and the Nikonos
Yeah.
a way of, or you have a way of programming the thing before you put it in you close your back, and it's properly tight, correct? Then it may work for the, but you see, this is the little synchronization thingy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And and here, I don't know what camera was this one, but I tell you, it looked attractive. But the more that I thought about it, I said, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. As we talk about it here, and like I said, as soon as out of my mouth said you got to take the plate off the back, I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that.
And that's probably not going to be enough anyway.
But it is an interesting thing to talk about, though. You know,
Exactly. And obviously, somebody end up buying one, correct? It will be interesting to know the experience. But imagine if I have a lot of problem with a little hacking a hood, imagine hacking this baby here.
The other rumors, we'll get off of that subject. Tamron, for those of you who like Tamron lenses, they got a sale right now up to $300 off on select lenses. They got a spring sale going on, so you can go to their website or probably go to any camera store's website and see what lenses are marked down. Think Tank came out. They announced a new dark light series of camera bags. There's going to be a new Voigtlander Septon 40 millimeter f2 lens for Z mount is going to get released on April 14th. I looked up the cost, $699, and it's listed as coming soon on the B&H website. And Nikon USA started new rebates for April of 2026. They had reduced some of the savings in March, and the new rebates are coming back at a higher amount of money. And these rebates are going to end on May 3rd. So keep a lookout if you don't already, as I do, get way too many emails from Nikon USA telling me about every little thing that goes on sale. But if you don't get all those emails, then go to the website and check them out and see what's marked
The
down.
discount on the C9 were significant, right? I mean,
Yes, yeah. The Z9 I believe was $49.99.95 or something like that. So to get a new Z9 for under $5,000 by about a nickel or whatever or a penny, it's still well. The price is, the sooner they get to maybe popping out a Z9 II, that price is going to get. I mean, I don't think they're really. I mean, I haven't seen anything, any numbers in a long, long time of Z9 sales, because I would think the Z9 sales are pretty flat.
Yeah,
Right about
the Z8. Yeah.
I really don't think they're selling a lot of them. So
people are holding on for the new one, correct? So
yeah.
Well, with the new sensor and hopefully you won't have that JPEG. They'll go to RAW pre-shoot, but you never know.
Yeah.
recapture. So, but that's what I saw when I saw that such a. I think it was. I don't know what was the base price, because the prices have been fluctuating, but it was a rebate of about $1,000, right? So that tells you that they are that heavy discount on the C9, maybe a precursor that something is coming.
Yeah. Now, some of the cameras that they're showing what's on sale, they're throwing in a free memory card or other accessories as well. Okay, yeah, I find as I look down, I did have the price $49.99.95, and they got a Z5 II. This is just a few examples, and a Z5 II with the 24 to 50 millimeter kit lens for $18.99.95. So you could go on Nikon USA, look at all those rebates, or you can go on Nikon Rumors, and they're going to have a list of everything that has rebates. So whichever way you want to go. Nikon Rumors also said, as they had previously reported on their Nikon Rumors site, the Artemis 2 crew relied on the Nikon D5 SLR, digital SLR cameras as their primary handheld cameras, plus a Z9 that was added. They claim at the last minute for deep space radiation testing ahead of future missions. And no fancy new mirrorless flagships, no commercial sponsorship deals, just proven Nikon gear that NASA has trusted for decades in the harshest environment imaginable. And the results were absolutely stunning. And of course, there's been a multitude. It's like everybody got on the bandwagon, a multitude of YouTube content creators that had discussions about, why Nikon gear is selected and used, with the space program and blah, 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 blah. And once one guy did it, then another guy did it, and now everybody's doing it.
We discussed that. We did our discussion on the NASA photos 2 weeks ago. I think we went ahead of the trend. But I tell you one thing, what drives me crazy, there is a lot of hidden envy. The fact that that the camera they used was a D5 and a
I
Z9.
like it.
It basically Nikon, without saying anything, put a figure in the hole right there, correct?
Yeah, now we got to monitor D5 sales.
Exactly.
So that's all I had for Nikon. Now you might have had a few other things, Gustavo. I'm not
No
sure.
particular for Nikon, but obviously maybe there's some news coming, given that the NAB show is happening, I think from today until the 21st, correct? So that maybe we should expect, apart from those beer trucks lenses that have been announced but will be debuted during the NAB, right? The other thing that is worthwhile discussing with the other equipment is a couple of things that have been also a lot in the YouTube is the fact that we have that, and I think even Nishi talk a lot about that, the DJI and Erwin, the DJI Osmo Pocket 4, the new version of the Osmo system on DJI, right? And that looking like a very competent, a nice upgrade for the old one. Obviously, cannot be bought here in the US, right? But the reviews have been mostly positive. And the other one that have been rather puzzling, the Jeff, is this about we do know that GoPro is in trouble, correct? Financially, the market.
Didn't they bring out an MFT mounted camera recently?
Yes, they announced a GoPro Mission 1, which is a new series of camera that basically not competing anymore in the same league. That's actually a quite interesting underwater camera, right? It could be a quite interesting for the casual underwater.
I don't think I would take it underwater with a MFT L lens on it.
No, not with that lens, but they have three models, correct? They have a model that has already a lens, and it looks at I think they have to do something if they want to survive, right? So
They're struggling a bit.
they're struggling a little bit, but I think they're trying to create a space between the Chinese DJI, basically action cameras, correct? And in a segment that used to dominate, because this is a little bit larger sensor with, I think it can go all the way to 8K, right? So that's interesting. I wish them well. I have an old GoPro which I hardly use, but let's see whether if this is not super expensive, this could be an alternative to have another camera for action, correct? Just, one that you can throw in a boat, or you can put it outside your Jeep or something to make some special footage. Since I'm now supposed to be doing some videos every now and then.
3D printed lens cap as well.
Uh-huh.
So do you have GoPros, Roy?
Sorry?
Do you have GoPros?
No. I have a couple.
Okay.
They don't bounce very well when you drop them, though.
Yeah. So certainly for people like Randall, although they want to put cameras in the dashboard. That was what the
Yeah.
GoPro was very famous for, right?
I bought this one to go in a drone many years ago.
Okay. Wow, that's a
It's lighter, small and lighter, fly further.
Well, what do you think of the new GoPro with the Micro Four Third sensor instead of the 1 inch sensor? No.
I think it's interesting.
DJI do it better these days.
And what John Nishi mentioned that I think he bought the Pocket 4, DJI Pocket 4. You can get it in Malaysia and Asia, but you can't get it in the United States. Can you get it in Australia?
I think you can. I've seen it here and there.
Okay.
It's only America that doesn't want them.
And what about the rumor about the Z7 III with the 67 megapixel? You think that's real or?
That's possible. They need to make it really cheap though, so it's just a landscape camera.
Yeah.
What processor, Randall?
It wouldn't matter.
Well, they may not put an Xpeed 8 in it if they're just going to use it for landscape. They don't need it to be
Exactly.
fast.
That's where the strength
So
of
they
it is.
could dumb it down. They could dumb it down where it doesn't matter for its intended audience and keep the price low.
Well, I remember the Z7 II would just overheat like after half an hour without even doing anything. So I would hope, they fixed that on the ZR. I've had no problems with the ZF or even the Z8 for overheating. So that's what I would consider is
And going back
that. And then,
and going back to the NASA stuff, apparently one of the big criteria for NASA was tolerance to overheating and colder temperatures. And of course, do we know that D5 was like all Nikon cameras, ones that are typically are very robust and tend to tolerate a lot of changes in temperature. And that was certainly so the people that shoot Sony or Canon were kind of why didn't pick Canon? And in reality is that the Z9 is probably the one that has the best thermal management system just because of the size and the size of the batteries and okay?
Part of it too is and I'm not saying this to pick on Sony. People will say I am, but I'm not. I'm just saying Sonys are typically smaller bodies.
Exactly.
The buttons are closer together. They have to be able to push the buttons while they're wearing gloves on, while they're wearing those big beefy gloves. So that's why they got the Z9 up there. That's why they got the D5 up there, because the buttons and the controls are spaced apart more. It allows them to wear their gloves and be able to use the functions and take pictures with the camera. The smaller form factor the camera is, it just doesn't work ergonomically for the astronauts.
And the bigger battery.
And you have seen, correct? Even with the C9, which is big, they still have to build an adapter around it, and then they have that thermal jacket in top of it, right? So they build stuff and they work with Nico to modify the camera itself so they can take this special adapter, because to operate with those gloves for basically vacuum, correct? It requires some special adaptation, and probably the Z9 was already the camera that was better suited for that to begin with, because of what you say, because of the size of the battery, because of the thermal characteristics of the camera. So it's all, they may be a little bit prosaic here, a little bit bitching because they didn't get their camera, right?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. It's not a knock about necessarily how their camera performs or the images that it can take or anything like that. But there's a lot of factors in it, and the bottom line is Nikon has worked with NASA since the Apollo days, and they have a good working relationship. And Nikon knows what NASA wants and what they need, and
they
their stuff just fits the bill. It doesn't mean that it
I think
necessarily
it goes
takes a
back
better
to
picture.
the early days when Canon used to put fluoride glass in their cameras. That shatters on with vibration, so they sort of went over to Nikon instead.
No, and Roy, I mean, we don't have we have that discussion here before all the hullabaloo with Bob Rosado, correct? Which is involved with some of the stuff. Uh, the the Nikon camera have been in the International Space Station already for a long time, so they have been testing it for years and years and years, correct? So they have an inventory of cameras, so they didn't even need to buy new cameras, correct? It's just
Well, the thing is though, like when they can't block all the radiation. I mean, they said on this mission that the astronauts had a lot of radiation sensors, sensing devices on their suits that they wore because cosmic rays, certain types of radiation don't go right through the ship anyway, and eventually it degrades the cameras too. It can affect the
Yes,
sensor
all electronics.
performance. You get pixels that get screwed up and things like that. So the cameras don't have, the cameras don't have the typical lifespan that you're going to have when you're shooting on planet Earth when you're up there in space.
well, it was I think Bob mentioned. I mean, a lower orbit, correct? The ISS, which the radiation is a lot less because of the back, it's still protected by the magnetic field of the Earth. He told us that they basically they have that inventory of cameras C9s that they need to send regularly because the sensors eventually will stop working, correct? Now they
It's sad that they put them in the junk and they get burnt up in the atmosphere when they're dumped.
exactly,
Poor
exactly.
cameras. It's
And
very sad. I'd be underneath trying to catch one.
well, I'd like to have a charged Z9 land in my backyard and say, "Hey, this was a NASA camera, man. I wouldn't sell it. I'd mount it and put it in my back wall
now
here."
the ones that were using Artemis 2, those came back, correct? So I'm sure they will end in one of the museums for NASA because it's
Oh yeah.
historically important camera. But there, Bob was even saying, hey, when he was talking to the astronauts, they were saying, I will buy one if it comes back to the Earth, correct? Because it will be a nice. But they say no, we don't bring them back, correct? They
Yeah.
get exposed. Uh,
Well, they were talking about this would probably be the last time they used the D5s, but
yes,
it's been
You never know.
successful on many missions.
yeah, but and it's because for the missions in the moon itself, they build all these attachments to the Z9, correct? So I guarantee you, it's not going to be a Z9 2. It's going to be the one they already have
Yeah.
tested and they have submitted all the created all the software around it, everything for that one. Even if the C9 2 comes tomorrow, the one that is going to go to the moon in 2028, if it happens according with the schedule, will be the C9 original one that we have. Right?
I could tell you from working like Bob has, but I mean Bob, more of a like a program manager or project manager, within the company, and I worked as a manufacturing engineer and a test rig designer,
Exactly.
and I can tell you that when I worked in two different divisions of the same corporation that I worked for 30 years. And the first place I worked was called Flight Systems, and we worked on commercial and military aircraft, and we worked on military electronics that went into the Seahawks and the Blackhawks and the Chinooks, and did stuff that went on the F-18 fighter jets, and we did stuff for the A320 at the time, and at the time was my day, the 747, the Boeing 747s and stuff like that. And all I can tell you is NASA, how do I want to word this politely? Let's just say the technology and the methodology on how you build something for NASA for the longest time was decades behind what everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
It's like they had all their electronics had through hole components. Okay, they weren't surface mount. Okay, they didn't know the reliability of surface mount. They knew what worked,
And they stayed.
and it's very, very, very hard to get them to change their mindset to shift over to more
State of the art.
state-of-the-art stuff, because the state-of-the-art stuff doesn't have history. The state-of-the-art stuff doesn't have a track
Exactly.
record. So it's very, very hard. When I went from flight systems to space systems, I thought I went back 30 years in technology. I mean, parts that were put on by hand, not by automated machines. Every part put in and soldered by hand, leads clinched by hand with a special tool, whereas in the flight world, you'd put a part in a through-hole component in a PC board. You had a machine that would cut and clinch the leads underneath the board.
Exactly.
Hold the part down. You hit a button, foot pedal. You hear cut the leads. Next part, put it in. And a lot of surface mount technology. In some cases, boards that were mounted on a heat sink, and you had a surface mount board on each side of a specially designed heat sink, and very complicated high-tech stuff, and go over to space systems, and it's like, oh my God, I'm like back to the 70s. I just went back in time. It was like I went back in time. I was Marty McFly, and I went back in time.
But they do. There is a purpose to the madness, right? Is because those have been qualified, tested, and as you say, they have a track record, and they don't want to take the risk of bringing something and that's something failing, correct?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, working there for 20 years in the space side of things, I mean, eventually, yeah, you started seeing surface mount stuff. Eventually, sometimes they kind of get forced into it sometimes, because some of the parts that were made that were through-hole technology, nobody makes those parts anymore.
Exactly.
Parts are only available with surface mount technology components, and then they're forced to adapt, or they can't design their product. So eventually the technology and the elimination of the old stuff forces them to make a change, and
that ensures it triggers a new qualification for a new piece of equipment, and that qualification may last years, correct?
Yeah, it's not a quick process. Let's move on to rumors from Sony.
Okay.
They're saying that Sigma is supposedly going to announce a new 65 millimeter full frame lens in September that's faster than f1.2.
Wow.
So they're assuming it might be an f1 lens, or I don't know if it'll be like a knock type of thing, 0.95, but it'll be supposedly faster than f1.2. But as they say, time will tell. We'll see if that really happens or not. There are new firmware updates for a whole bunch of Sony cameras, something they're not necessarily known for doing in a repetitious sort of way like Nikon does. But supposedly the A7C, the A7M3, the A7M RM4A, and the updates, they just say, is to improve the operational stability of the camera, however you want to take that. But that was the jargon that they used. Sony Alpha Rumors had a link to a video from Petapixel titled "The Coolest Lens in Every Mirrorless Mount." So if you want to see what Petapixel thinks are the coolest lenses for all the mirrorless mounts, check it out on Sony Alpha Rumors site. There's a new Viltrox full frame autofocus lens. They just said they didn't give details. Announcement on April 20th, 2 days from now. TT Artisan coming out with a pair of 2 new full frame autofocus lenses. And they just say the price is very astonishing or miraculously good, full frame, outstanding image quality, premium optical glass construction crafted with artisan care, coming soon. But they don't give you a lot of information. Official Sony A7 R6 announcement will happen supposedly in May. And as I think previously mentioned earlier in the show, it is still confirmed that it may be a 67 megapixel sensor and a new body. They say chances are increasing that they might get the 100 to 400 f4 GM lens. F-Stoppers has a video on Sony Alpha Rumors titled, I laughed when I saw the title and didn't necessarily, I didn't watch it, but I can't watch everything. But it's called "Who is Buying These Cameras?"
Yeah.
It referenced the $7,000 Leica Q3 and the $5,000 Sony RX1 R2. So if you want to maybe have a good laugh and a chuckle here or there, you might want to watch that video. And
All right. So that brings up a question. And these, like the RX, the R1 Mark III, whatever, they have a fixed lens. Would you get a camera where it doesn't have a tilt or a flippy screen? Or just use the EVF?
Mm.
You see, I would rather have at least.
how often can you shut me up, Randall? I mean, seriously.
I mean, spend that much money and you don't even get a good screen or EVF.
Well, Sony's back screens have never been brilliant anyway, so you're not losing a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna knock a Leica Q3. I mean, that's an exceptional camera, but for $7,000 and a lot of these, the problem is a lot of the bodies for Leica, like it or not, are in the $7,000 range with no lens.
Yeah,
with no lenses.
And Panasonic
and the lens is going to be $2,000, and go on and on and on. But all I can say is for when I got the old Leica M3, it is I'm not going to say, if somebody asked me, well, do you think that camera was worth the money in the day? And I will say there is a smoothness in operation, and it is mechanically superb. And I can understand when people say, well, unless you've owned a Leica, you don't know what it is to own a Leica unless you have one. You don't know what people talk about when they say there's something special about a Leica. And I would say, yeah, there is something special about the Leica. I've shot it, and I like it. However, does it give me a better result than a camera that might cost half the price? My argument would be probably not.
No.
It gives you it has a different feel. It has a unique quality that you're not going to find in hardly any other camera that's made. But to justify the price point is very difficult, I think, overall.
You say it qualifies as a luxury item? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think it's a luxury item. It's a status thing too. It's just like, people buy Rolex watches. Well, I don't know if a $15 Timex will give me the time good enough for me. I don't need to spend $20,000 on a Rolex watch. But for some people, $20,000 to them is like $50 to me. It's all relative, on your financial situation. But it's kind of that way with, whether it be a Leica or even or a Hasselblad. Okay, the same deal. People will buy the Fuji medium format cameras because the overall cost is less, but they're not they're not the same as the Hasselblad lenses, which have the shutters in the lenses. Okay, and so that's why the Hasselblad lenses cost more money than the Fuji lenses do. And most of the people that, when I watch videos about people that shoot these medium format cameras, will say that the color rendition is more pleasing on the Hasselblad than on the GFX 100 RF or any of the Fuji medium format cameras. But you are talking a significant more amount of money, because you're talking eight grand for a body or whatever it is, $8,000 plus for the body. And then once again, the lenses are more expensive. The lenses might be $2,500 and up for each lens easily. And but once again, if you can afford it, it's a fantastic camera. If you can afford it and it fits your needs, then hey, who am I to say don't buy it? I wouldn't tell somebody don't buy it. I just know I can't afford to buy it, but I mean, somebody can afford to buy it, or they wouldn't be in business.
Some very busy
so obviously,
photographers can afford it. Some of the professionals, and
Yeah,
then they do earn their way. These cameras, Leica and Hasselblad, are very good. Accuracy is very good. Everything about them's good.
But anyway, there's nothing wrong with options and choices. I mean, that's really what all these, when you have all these, so many companies now, or well, it used to be a lot more, but the ones that remain, have so many model numbers and stuff, and different versions of their cameras, is what's not right for you is right for somebody else. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as if they can cost justify it and they're going to sell enough of them to make a profit, then they're going to make it. Sometimes they fall on their face and it doesn't work out. And sometimes the sad thing is like, I think some people, not me, but some people accuse Fuji of intentionally keeping the volume of some of their cameras low so they can keep the prices high.
So, what Leica model do you have? Yeah,
I got the M3.
And that came what year?
That 1950s.
In the 1950s. So the equivalent for a Nikon camera of the time was
The camera that competed was the Nikon SP rangefinder.
Mm.
The Nikon SP rangefinder, and the Nikon did some things better or different, and other things not as well, because I got both cameras, and all I can say is after all these years, the focusing, the focus patch in the rangefinder for the Leica is extremely large, and it's still extremely bright and easy to see it, whereas the SP, it has faded considerably, and sometimes I can't see the patch, and that is a well documented thing over age that
so that
and you can't get it fixed, and you can't get
so
it
that
fixed.
time the Leica was the technology wise was the top of the line, correct? Probably.
Leica invented the 35mm, so they've always been there.
Yeah. I mean, when the SP came out, see what happened was I'm trying to think of what order things came out, because Nikon had a series of rangefinder cameras, and basically they had a period where theirs might have been considered better, and then all of a sudden the M3 came out and it leapfrogged them, and then Nikon had to try to respond. And but the Nikon glass is exceptionally good on those rangefinder cameras. They're really, really good lenses,
And consistently good.
The Leica lenses, I think, tend to at this point in time, this looking at a lens from the 50s. A lot of those lenses didn't have coatings on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of them required CLAs to get cleaned up, whereas the Nikon lenses were coated, had good coatings on them. So there's pros and cons to both, but I mean mechanically, there is a smoothness with the Leica that I've never seen with any other camera. But in the end, is it giving you a better picture than a camera that costs thousands of dollars less? And I would argue not necessarily so.
And probably as time progresses, right, there is less and less of a difference, right? The top.
Yeah, and you got to remember what you're paying for too is those cameras were all made by hand. They weren't made on a production line like we think of as a production line. They were made by hand.
A lot of the Leica lenses had a big variation in their quality. They were either very, very good or very bad, whereas the Nikon lenses were consistently fairly good. That's why everyone sort of moved over to them.
So, but I can understand the love that people have for that brand, and like I said, if I had the financial resources, I mean, I'd love to have a Hasselblad medium format camera. I mean, I'd piss in my shorts, to be honest with you, if I had one of those. I mean, I'd love it. I would have a great time with it. But
H or the new one?
The new one. Was it the X2D or is that what they call it? Yeah, X2D. But yeah, I mean, and the thing is with that, even though the lenses are expensive, if you're using it mostly for either portraits or landscapes, you really only need to probably buy 2 lenses and you'd be okay. 2 lenses that would cost you a lot of money, but you wouldn't be buying as many because of how you're using it. You're not buying the breadth of lenses that we buy for our Nikons. You know what I mean?
That makes sense, correct? Because certainly medium format cameras, right, with medium format film will create better images. I mean, nobody
Bigger the sensor, the better the picture, but also more cost.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, going back to still on Sony Alpha rumors here, they had a thing in here. Petapixel had a chat with Tamron management, and this is verbiage from what Tamron management said, is that they're focused on making lenses that no other manufacturer does. A consequence of this is that Tamron makes a lot of zoom lenses. Although the company reiterated to Petapixel at CP Plus in 2026 that it is not opposed to making new prime lenses, but it needs to be the right prime, a unique offering. And it said in the past 6 years, Tamron only made 1 prime lens, the terrific 90 millimeter macro. And isn't that what Louisa shoots with a lot? The Tamron 90 millimeter macro, I believe. Because in the prime lens world, they said we already have a ton of variety. They said still there is hope. We are committed to continuing our trials and explorations to ensure that when we do bring a prime lens to the market, it is a product that truly delights our users and meets our own high standards of innovation. So that's all I got from Sony rumors. So we can move on to Fuji rumors, and there really wasn't a lot there. They had an article in Fuji rumors and just some generic discussion. Fujifilm X-Half shows photography can be fun and does not have to be serious. Many X owners are first-time Fujifilm owners. 70% of X-Half owners are in their 30s or below. Over 40% of X-Half owners are women. It says for the photography business to be able to sustain itself and grow, younger people, and I agree with this, younger people need to get interested in photography. Since smartphones take really good images, you need to provide an enjoyable experience while making the image. You need to have an enjoyable experience, but also have great results that you enjoy. And they say, you know, bringing more people into photography, especially into the Fujifilm ecosystem, is essential for future growth. From that perspective, the in some countries highly successful Fujifilm X-Half is a smart move. It attracts younger users, introduces them to photography through the Fujifilm brand, potentially turning them into future customers for higher end gear. And I think that's something that Nikon really needs to. I mean, Fuji is willing to take risks that you know, in some cases they may come out with something that we may say, I would never buy that. That isn't for me. It's not serious enough, or, you know, especially with that particular camera they're talking about. But at the same time, they make a point. If it brings people in that weren't buying any cameras, and now they buy that camera, serious or not, and they happen to enjoy it, and then they say, I'm ready to step up to the next step, and they stick with the same brand, then that's a good thing for them. And I think sometimes, I think when Nikon came out with the the ZF and that type of a camera, you know, with the retro feel. And I mean, I think that sparked a lot of interest, and that got people to maybe buy into Nikon for the first time with a camera that wasn't going to break the bank. And with the same logic, you know, okay, once you get their foot in the door, they see what else is out there. They might want to move up to a different camera and spend more money and buy more lenses. But I think it's important to definitely, whether it makes sense for many of us who are ingrained with what we're ingrained with, and they rule out a certain thing, I wouldn't diminish the importance of taking risks, trying to come out with something that brings people into the brand. I think that's a very necessary thing to do. It's just like when Matt talking about a basically if Nikon were to come out with something that competed with a Leica fixed lens rangefinder camera, but was digital, whether it's that's digital, but cost thousands of dollars less, maybe 70% of us that follow this channel may not be interested in buying that. But if the young people will buy it, then same idea. You get them in the door, you get them engaged, they like it, they use it, then they migrate, they get a second body, they get a different camera. So it may be, you got to think out of the box sometime, and that's something Fuji is really good at, is thinking out of the box. What they're not good at is satisfying their orders, because too many people can't get certain models still, or have to pay elevated prices for people that buy them and then resell them and try to get, make a quick buck on them on eBay or whatever. They talked about the GFX 100 RF, future of that line. They say it sells well. Some people want it even more compact, and they want IBIS. And they say if Fujifilm puts IBIS on a GXF 100 RF, they can't really make it smaller. It's not going to be smaller. You're not going to have IBIS in the body and have it be smaller than what it is. They're confident that design of the 100 RF is not a one-off, but something that could continue in the future. Feels like a turning point to expand Fujifilm's medium format system. They feel the sensor's still underutilized based on its potential. They see huge potential in the sensor, and more unique products can come from it. And they said it does sound like that Fujifilm's committed to giving people a Fujifilm GFX 100 RF successor one day, and they're saying it would be a Fujifilm GFX 180 RF. The focus seems to be to make it even smaller, so they said they doubt it's going to have IBIS. And then they talk about Fujifilm's colors as being a big part of how they have good sales, with their film heritage and film simulations being a core difference between other camera manufacturers. Having a deep knowledge of film stock and color science continues to shape its identity. This historical expertise being leveraged for future technologies. Evolving display tech and HDR may require updates to film simulations. They said HDR versions of film simulations are a possible future direction. So that's it that I pulled out of Fuji. Then we got a handful of things from Canons. And another camera that Roy's highly anticipating is a new sensor that may come out for the next PowerShot camera. The new sensor will be smaller than the 1.4-inch sensor that's in the PowerShot V1, but more advanced, which could mean a number of things. They say the 7-year-old PowerShot G7X Mark III used a 1-inch sensor. The thought process is it may be a 1-inch BSI stack sensor, but time will tell. Canon rumors, they got a bunch of articles on new firmware for the EOS R5C, C50, C70, C80, and the C400. There's also an article on new Canon EOS cameras for NAB, to name a few. So check out their Canon Rumors site if you want to read some of those articles. And for those of you who think what we spend money on is really expensive, well, Canon just came out with a Cinema Servo lens, a 40 to 1200 millimeter T5.0 to 10.8 lens for the paltry price of $79,999. And then they crowed and said, "Oh, that's so fantastic that they could do that for less than $80,000." Yeah, $79,999.
But that's
when you buy a car, right? The marketing for cars, everything is $19,999, and it's $29,999, and then $49,999.
but that's a camera for a film crew, correct? I mean,
for cinema, yeah, cinema camera, and it has a built-in 1.5 times extender, which can get you to 1800 millimeters at the long end, and it now covers full frame sensors. So it's going to be available in the ARRI PL mount and the Canon RF mount, available September 30th of 2026.
Think about a camera crew making a documentary, correct? In Africa or something like that. You put one. I think it was Fronos that spotted one of those lenses in Africa, correct? That's the type of lenses that this specialized camera crew will do because they go the entire range, correct?
Yeah. I mean, if you're in the movie business, what's 80 grand, right? When you got a $300 million budget on a movie, and I don't think spending 80 grand on a lens is too hard of a stretch, for that market.
It's a lens, a professional lens for a very specialized a camera, but it looks impressive. I don't know if you saw. I mean, you saw. It's incredible, correct? I mean, that big, and then you have a camera that goes like that. I mean, the whole. I think it was in a safari jeep. The whole jeep was just dedicated to the camera, correct?
And the last thing that I have is actually Canon Rumors saying this. Canon Rumors states that Sony has suspended orders of memory cards due to the global memory shortage. So that's very interesting. So interesting and troubling.
Yes.
All this AI stuff is sucking up all the memory, and it's going to cause some problems in the camera industry. Now, in the computer industry, they said that some of the bigger computer giants like Apple kind of saw this coming and bought up huge supplies of RAM. So maybe they won't have a point where they're shut down because they can't get it because they bought so much of it ahead of time.
Oops.
He was there for a moment. There he is.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hi.
You hear me?
How you doing, sir? Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. Good morning.
David Stewart, while we were talking about all this other stuff, David put in a comment, does anybody here use film simulations on their Nikon? other than him.
Yeah.
No, you're the only one, David.
No.
I got raw shooters, so those.
I'm off. I want to make adjustments. I create my own. I create my own stuff on the fly and my own profiles, and I apply them as need be, as I wish. I don't. If it's one thing. To me, it's one thing if you're using the stuff for. If you're a JPEG shooter, I mean that's what most of those things are for anyway. Is for when you shoot JPEG. All those picture profiles in camera are all for all.
But
for,
if you shoot
JPEG.
raw, just
yeah.
Just if I have my filter box here. This is something, Roy, that you will be interested. No, we no longer use this type of thing, but in long time ago, this is probably one of the very few Canon things that I have in my equipment. You see here, it was a Canon filter. Big,
wait a minute, show that again. I'm going to make it bigger.
it was a Canon filter, but it was for close-up. A big fan. So at that time, I mean, this was in the 90s, correct? Then you have the option either you use extension tubes or you use a close-up lens. And this was exceptional quality. Nikon didn't do any of these, and of course, these will.
Nikon did it too, but they were nearly as dear.
Yeah, the 70 millimeter, and that will screw up in top of the in front of the of your 70 millimeter lenses, and then it will become a macro. I need to try it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was a common thing back in the 70s. A lot of the not necessarily the major camera manufacturers making them. A lot of them were third-party magnification lenses that you could buy.
They were
one
terrible,
times,
the
two
third-party ones.
Yeah, they were selling those like crazy. And remember when we used to reverse mount lenses?
Yeah, I remember that.
That works.
Reverse mount the lenses to get the macro effect, and then of course you'd get the your bellows with the rail system and mount a lens on that, and it wasn't a macro lens, but with the bellows it acted as a macro lens.
And a macro lens on a bellows was even better.
Yeah.
But anyway,
extension tubes.
so this was at that time people rumored there was exceptional quality because it was made by Canon. I remember this at that time was like $200, correct?
Yeah.
But I need to try it on one of the modern cameras, Roy, and see. Obviously, you lose on light with this one, correct? Contrary to
No, you don't really. You lose a little bit, but not enough to. Not like an extension tube or a bellows.
Exactly. So anyway, I need to use it and see where it works with the modern camera, correct? Like take a photo without and within and see whether it works well. It's heavy because I mean, look how thick it is.
Yeah.
It looks thick. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to go to Walmart with that.
Yeah.
For reading glasses.
Exactly. Otherwise, it would be a very hefty, expensive magnifying glass.
Put a chain on it and use it as a giant monocle.
Exactly. So anyway, I thought you guys will be interested to see this thing that I have in there, but I need to try it because it may be useful again.
That should be usable. I use mine.
David's saying he does both, I think, referring to my comment that I create profiles and do it on raw files. And he says Photoshop or Bridge will read the picture profile and apply it to the image.
Okay.
The way it works.
I don't know where David, where are you? Are you at home or are you traveling? I forget. I know you said that you were not going to be around much for the show tonight, so I don't know if you're visiting family or I don't recall exactly what you were telling me, but I'm old. I forget things. Luis, do you have any future travel plans?
No, not really. I
So
go with my I'm going to Portugal to visit my family. So that's not really, well, that's traveling, but I'm not doing anything fancy with photography or anything.
so let me share something here. Since we have Luis and he was so
Hmm.
kind to provide us already. I mean, we can do. Oh, what? Okay. We can promo. Oh, we can promo couple of things. We go back to this one
Okay.
again. Okay. So upcoming.
Yes.
So we do have Anita's presentation. She sent me, I think, yesterday, and I reviewed it again. Anita's presentation basically is very fantastic presentation. So we should have her, and she will be in May. She coming in May, and then we have in the pipeline already Luis, and Luis
Hey.
from his trip on Sri Lanka. This is a temporary the temporary title. Luis, you need to
Okay.
send. So we have Luis is going to be in July. I think it will be a Wednesday again. So we have a chance for him to have, and he has a fantastic picture here from one of those large what do you call it? A fishing owl,
Yeah, it's a brown fish owl.
fish
It's
owl.
quite it's quite big, that one. It's about the size as the American, what is it called? The
Bighorn.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So anyway, so as you can see, it works. So I put all the stuff. So
Okay.
we do have stuff in the pipeline, and thank you, Luis, for sending us. So I'm going to we can go back to the shop at Cesar here. So we
Welcome.
have already quite quite a few things in the pipeline. Correct. So we have our image review coming on Saturday, May the 2nd. Right, and then after that we have uh, the general meeting on number 15. That will be Anita's presentation, which is ready. So we are good for May. Okay? Then we have email review in June, and still to be confirmed, but I think Robert Rosado will be ready to make his astrophotography presentation on line painting. Then we have our image review, and then we have the general meeting 17 in July, for which to be determined. So we don't have anything for July because we're keeping Luis' presentation for July, but will be on a Wednesday. It will be the
Yeah,
27th,
yeah, sure.
right? So we have quite a few in the pipeline, but the next opportunity here for everybody that is listening that want to make a presentation will be July the 18th, so that we don't get caught without having a presentation like today.
Jeff
Yeah.
and Leslie are leaving.
All right. So anyway, Luis, you have plenty of time to work gradually on your on material, okay? And
Yeah,
you
that's it. That's it. Yeah. I need some time now.
exactly, and then you let us know of the title, and then I'll modify this and send it back to you. But I thought that for today I chose something uh,
Yeah, yeah, very good.
to
Excellent.
to get everybody here ready to see those fantastic pictures.
We got to keep everybody amped up, as they say, you
Exactly.
know.
I
That's
remember
it. Yeah.
I was asking David, our friend Terry was recently in Africa, correct? And I was asking him, I couldn't
All
connect
right.
last day. So he's back from Africa. And
Okay.
maybe
That's our next victim. That's our next victim. Presentation from
exactly.
Africa.
So we need to start. Maybe
So Terry, if you're watching, you're already going to get plugged. We're going to be talking you into doing a
he
presentation.
has
Well,
a nice July 18 spot on his future.
Yeah, that's right.
do you remember where he went to? Tanzania or what was it? South
he,
Africa.
he went to Southern Africa. I think
South Africa.
he
Okay.
went to Namibia.
Oh, he went to Namibia.
Yeah, he went to that place.
Atosha.
No, to the where they got pagoling is the person that the group that he has at those boats with
Yeah,
the,
I see. Yeah,
so
I know.
I'm sure that we will hear a lot before the presentation, but I'm sure that because
Mm-hmm.
that looked like a great place to visit, right? But let's wait for Terry to tell us a little bit more. But that would be a great. This time he didn't want to. He thought about combining with the Okavango, but he did
Mm-hmm.
correct. But so Namibia
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
a safe place, but uh, I want to hear the whole story from Terry. So I'm sure that
Oh,
next
yeah, yeah.
this,
Very good.
he will start telling us a little bit, and of course we want a full presentation. So I think we got a full stuff. Now, Jeff, the other thing that I have for today, which we can comment about, some of these we comment already, things that I have seen recently, correct? So talk about lenses, correct? I mean, these are things on the internet and YouTube. There was an interesting presentation for Mark Ranger. I don't know if you saw that video
Yeah.
for a very specialized lens. This he went to Japan and tested a lens that was actually built in very small quantities. He tested at 300 millimeter f2.
F2. Yeah, I like that video. That was really
Uh,
cool.
That
didn't
was
see that one.
That lens is big
and
too.
talk
Big
about
price.
super expensive, right?
Yeah,
That 30,
yeah.
30 grand American.
Exactly. Our friend here, Mr. Pikachu Adventures, he has not been very active putting videos, but he put a recent video as well, a couple of weeks ago, uh, on a visit that he made in I think in St. Augustine to the alligator farm, and he's playing all the possibility for photographing there. So it was wonderful to see Mr. Chu here, and so that's where I bought it. Now, on things that are here on TV and you can still watch it, um, although it's a repeat, but they put it back on recently, is a two-part series for us uh, bird photographer on raptors, correct? And there was
Mm-hmm.
that series initially broadcast in 2024, but you can if you I don't know where if you are in the US, you can go to here and watch those videos. And the two videos certainly have a lot of information about raptors that I never seen before. Okay, so I think it's worthwhile watching those documentaries because there's a lot of new information about raptor biology
Okay.
and of course in nature, so PBS nature, so it's fantastic cinematography there. Then of course our friend um, Matt Erwin here has uh, has a series of um, recent videos. Particularly, I highlighted this in which he discussed a little bit of the financials of Nikon, but vis-a-vis what he expects to see in in the current uh,
This year.
year,
This,
right? So that was also, I think, it was a very comprehensive, well logically presented guess from him on what should be coming and how Nikon should be moving forward. So those things I highlighted there. The other one we discussed already was that special adapter. Okay, and the other hullabaloo that have been going in the internet, as you know, is that there is a lot of people that have some issue with Adobe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And they have been looking for alternative to Adobe, and talking about uh, 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 producing video clips and stuff like that. Correct? That we know that DaVinci Resolve have been another, basically a competitor to Final Cut Pro and Premiere. Correct? And this product from Magic is very popular with the professionals. Correct? But the whole hullabaloo is that they issue a new beta version of the software, Resolve 21,
Mm-hmm.
and basically it's like a Lightroom alternative, right? So you can do a lot of the traditional uh, processing of raw files now within Resolve, right? And for those that are mostly on the video producing, that basically saves them from having to go out of Resolve, either in Lightroom or other product, to bring some of the stills images back into this. So this is interesting, correct? That how this is progressing more competition with Photoshop and Lightroom. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think we were talking the other day about some of the other software that's out there that I think you have a trying to think of the brand there. You was it DxO, I think it was. You
Yeah.
have a plugin that you use.
Mhm.
I think within Lightroom or Photoshop or what have you.
Yeah.
And the hard thing is as companies come out with quote unquote competition for Lightroom or whatever, which is competition is good, but the problem is if you got tens of thousands of files that are already in existence because you were an early Lightroom adopter, which I was.
Exactly.
For me to
Move
flip
on.
over now is not an effective use of my time
No.
to do that. Potentially, if there was a certain feature set that was a plug-in that I could put into Lightroom, that would be definitely not an issue. Doing something like that, it would be easy access and do certain things. But for me to kind of like totally just drop Adobe and go to DxO or DaVinci Resolve is a very complicated video editing program, much more so than Final Cut Pro is as well. So
Mention that is because one of the things that this new version of Resolve is that it can interact with your Lightroom catalog and it can take import directly
Okay.
from Lightroom catalog. Not that I'm promoting this. This is
yeah,
primarily a video editing software, correct?
right.
As you can see, they are building in top of that a still image processing that is compatible. So you are in the same. It's like like you say, Jeff, when we talk about Final Cut Pro, correct? If I want to color grade or basically editing the clips, correct? That would be like a Final Cut Pro, very different language that doing my editing of the stills on Photoshop, correct?
Yeah.
Which is what I use, right? But you can see here, you will have the same language for those that are doing field grading to use it to apply the same type of processing to the NAF files or to the Lightroom catalog. So it's
Well, I think it's smart that they do it, but I think it depends on how long you've been embedded in a certain in a certain structure.
Yeah.
Makes it easier or harder to switch.
But this is more of a competition. This is more of a threat.
No.
Topaz or DxO, those are, I would say, more plugins, and you incorporate them in your workflow. Like I don't, I I do DxO raw processing because it basically go from the NEF file to a DNG before it goes into Photoshop, correct? So it doesn't compete with Photoshop. It's part of my workflow, but this is meant to compete, correct?
Right.
So that's a different. Just even I'm not going to consider this, but just it's important to watch those industry trends because maybe that basically put a little bit of a spark on Adobe that there are threats that they didn't have before and make their products, they keep their prices low and they make the products better, right? Which is what we want. I'm going to stay with Adobe most likely.
I mean, it's a good idea. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's just easier for some people to switch over than it is others. That's all. I mean, but I think it's a good idea what they're doing, especially if it can extract what's in your Lightroom catalog. That's a big bonus right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes it easy for the person that wants to do heavy editing, correct, on video.
Yeah, I mean, I think DaVinci Resolve is for folks like Wayne Maddox, when Wayne was on the show, with us for a period of time, and then he got different interests and started doing different things. But when he was doing photography videos and whatnot, Wayne did a lot of. He liked to do a lot of color grading. He liked to bring in. He would be someone that would be looking for the cinema look. Bringing in video files that basically had no color in them at all, like a video raw file, and work on it and work on it in DaVinci Resolve, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's what he liked to do. But that's a different level of much different level of video editing versus what I do. Let's put it that way.
But so anyway, I thought it was worthwhile discussing because it reflects the status of the state of the art on our in our
Of the industry.
right and the industry. So I think, but this should put, as I said, that should put a spark on Adobe that they need to improve the product, right? And they need to keep the prices competitive because DaVinci Resolve, which is made by Blackmagic, right? They do. This is like you buy once and you own the uh, for you own all the software, correct? So it's a different pricing structure, okay? More like the
Well,
convention.
let me ask you this though, but I'm sure, yeah, I don't know this for a fact, so I'm just going to ask it as a question. When they do a update to their software, are they like how Microsoft used to be in the day, and you get Microsoft Office, and then we updated Microsoft Word. We're going to charge you $100 if you want to update your Microsoft Word. I mean, are they going to? I'm sure they got to charge for firmware updates. Updates.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't use the DaVinci
Yeah.
Blackmagic product. But remember, the main business is the cameras, correct? It's the Blackmagic cameras.
Yeah.
Professional camera. So it's they probably subsidize this product a little bit, but it's becoming more and more competitive, right?
Yeah.
Now, would they offer upgrades for free? Probably not. But actually, it is alternative to the subscription model. Let me tell you a little bit of a story. Remember, I use two type of plugins with Photoshop. Right? I use a pre-processing with the DxO, which I'm very happy. And as I explained last time, why I skipped one generation and moved to the current version of DxO Raw 6, and I'm happy with that. Correct? It went from 4 to 6. I keep the intermediate one. Right? But as I was processing some of my film, correct, I wanted to upgrade my Topaz denoise, which work better for my scan images and my sharpening, right, of my scan images, right? Well, that actually turned out that I couldn't do it because Topaz has moved now into a subscription base.
Yeah.
So you see, I was prepared to pay, I don't know, the $70 for my upgrade from what I have version of Topaz to the new version of Topaz. Cannot do that anymore. You have to buy. They offer some sort of discount if you are a private owner, but it basically make it very difficult because the discount is for another plan. And I tell you, Jeff, it was like $18 per month. I don't want to add $18 per month for something that is a plugin for me. Correct?
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna cut the image here so we can see Roy, because everybody thinks he probably left.
Oh, I thought you left as well. Yeah.
He wasn't showing up on the sidebar, so I don't want Roy to be isolated from the rest of us here.
Yeah.
I work best in the dark.
Yeah, if we use this mode, Jeff, I see we can have Roy. Let's see.
Yeah.
And then we lost anybody? Not yet. Let me see.
No, we're all there now.
But
So let's
Gustavo, I
see,
use
if you bring it up, we lose Roy.
yeah,
That's okay.
that's
No.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Could you make
Gustavo,
the
I
image
use
smaller?
We can make. Let me see if I.
Yeah, and then you can bring Roy in.
Let me try. No, that doesn't work.
How about using the bottom?
Ah,
There you
Yeah,
go. There,
there
Okay.
we
you
go.
so Luis, you were asking a question.
Yeah, no, I say I use Affinity Photo to process my pictures,
Okay,
and then Affinity a few months ago, and I bought Affinity
exactly. That's the other alternative.
once in 2020, I think, and they were talking about changing something on Affinity last October, if I
yeah.
remember correctly, and I thought, well, they're going to change it into a subscription, and now it's free for everybody apparently, the basic Affinity. So I'm not sure because
Choice.
I don't need to look for it because I have it. So I bought it once, and that's what I use still. And then if you would, I think there are several layers several types of. But I see when I open Affinity, I see some kind of promotion thing which I don't read, to be honest. I just click it away and then I keep on working.
Okay, okay. So they could be. I mean, I don't know. We can check on the internet, but it was Affinity not recently bought by Apple that is going to be part of Apple.
Well, that I don't know.
I say, Jeff, you can perhaps check on your other screen if
Is that the fact? I don't know, to be honest.
find
I
some
thought it was Photometer and something else.
here.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
with those type of software like DxO, right? I do if there is a upgrade, right? If
Hmm.
I check them because sometimes they got some improvement, and you saw the
Oh,
video.
absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
but it has to do also with your workflow. If
Yeah,
if
that's
if
it.
workflow work for you on the free version, then stay with the free version, right?
Yeah, I just open Affinity right now and it says all the new Affinity is here for free. Okay.
Okay, well, so
what version is that? 1.10?
Ooh, the one I have. Um, I would have to click somewhere. Hang on.
Because I
I'll
see a
just-
price for $15. So
yeah, but that's something more advanced than what I have. But I mean, for what I
okay.
do, it's I don't need anything else to be honest.
Yeah, the Apple Creator Studio
uh-huh.
is $129 a year or $12.99 a month. It has Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Pixelmator Pro,
Pixelmator.
and let's see.
And the photo editor is a Pixelmator, Randall.
Yeah, well, Photometer and Pixelmator they work in conjunction.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
they got Motion
yeah.
Compressor and Main Stage.
Yeah. And they
Keynote.
have that deal all the time around Christmas time where they combine everything with Final Cut Pro. So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
And Luis, what it works for me, I tell you the DxO Pro on processing my NEF files
Yeah,
better. I try things in Photoshop or in Adobe Camera Raw. It never give me the quality of what I want to have on in terms of uh, going from, particularly when you're working with high ISOs, correct?
yeah. I have
And,
to.
and in the past, they used to create these gigantic files. One of the things that's like what I explained, they now,
Mhm.
uh, the files are compressed and very manageable without losing any quality, correct? So for me, I don't mind spending a little bit of money if it gives me the result. But if you get something for free that give you the result you want, that is great, right? I certainly do not want to pay to pass, you know, an
I
additional
understand.
amount.
Yes.
And I definitely, as I mentioned the other day, I don't want to use what Adobe is doing, which is using this special credit. Correct? If you want to use all their AI uh, manipulation for noise or for sharpening, then you have to pay
Mhm.
extra. Definitely, I'm not going to do that. I try to make my photos already nice enough. Right?
now,
Yeah,
what about?
absolutely.
Does anybody correct me if I'm wrong? Is now I used this software a long time ago. I don't have it on my computer now, but What about Nikon's NX Studio? Doesn't that supposedly do real good with raw files?
Good for converting.
Yeah, I use it from time to time. Well, let's put it that way. If I use what is the raw file, but that smaller raw file from Nikon,
Yeah,
the compressed version, I could not open that with Affinity a couple of years ago.
yes.
So I revert to the NS Studio, and it worked fine. At least I could convert the files that I wanted
And
into
that,
GIFs,
yeah, and
and
then
then
NX Studio is free too.
yeah, it is. I have it on my laptop.
Yeah. I have it because I think it's a good resource. It is not. It's doesn't have the capabilities, let's say, for masking
No,
that you
No.
have in Lightroom or Photoshop, correct? But if you don't want to make any modification to your image, just get a regular processing. And remember, for the people that are doing all this, David, I was talking about film simulation, then you can have all this. You have to use NX Studio to basically apply some of the field simulation, and of course, it's the software from Nikon, correct? So definitely, when there's a new camera, like Luis was saying, the first one that is able to handle the raw files,
Is NX Studio.
it's a Studio. So
yeah,
I keep it. I keep
okay.
my NX Studio up to date uh, for that purpose.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
other.
I used to like the what they call control point technology, where you can just take one part of the image, one section of your image, or even just a person's face, and you can adjust, the brightness, you can adjust everything in a very localized area,
Oh, I like it.
which I did like that back in the day, which was a long time ago when I used it, but I see they
Capture
still
next.
use that. Yeah.
And
Capture.
random. My affinity is 1.10 indeed.
Exactly. Yeah. So capture an X, correct? It was I like, actually, that's what prevent me from going to Lightroom initially. But you can, a lot of the I mean, obviously, Nikon decided not to support that, correct? And that software is at the basis of some other software. Eventually, it was taken by another company, right? Um, but
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I agree with you. It was very nice. You put a dot and then you manipulate the
Yeah.
exposure, the brightness, the saturation.
Yeah.
It works very well. You can do that obviously nowadays very much. With you put and had even more control at the time. But it was revolutionary at the time, in my opinion. So the other thing that we have, the other thing that we have here that I wanted to mention. Oops, I went. Uh, I it was my fault. Yeah, let me bring it back.
Roy deserves it. There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is these two YouTube videos, because one was actually, it came out of, not unfortunate, but it came just as Terry was going to Namibia, right? And he's from Steve Mateus, right? That
Yeah.
he,
Yeah. I had watched that. He just uses a monopod.
exactly. And I mentioned this to Terry when he was getting ready to go to Namibia, and actually, Terry had been building a contraction very similar to this, correct? And so I'm looking forward to hear from Terry uh, how the contraction work, correct? Uh, and so I actually started to build one myself for this one, because I do sometimes want to do solo angle cameras, correct? So, but I tell you a little bit more because I'm still waiting for the special. What is? I have the handles and I have the cables, but I think my uh, remote control is coming in next week, correct? But, but Terry will tell us because he did exactly this. He got a monopod and he got his camera to make some angle, low angle from the Safari Jeep. Correct. So I'm looking forward to hear from Terry. But if you want to build this system, and actually the system that I'm building is based on what Steve recommended. Although I make some adaptations, correct? So you can see I already have some of the handles and the different cables, correct? Because I do like to use that. I think, Roy, you have that special, what is it called? The MD,
A special
Yes.
grip that simulates the back of your camera.
which is just getting another, exactly.
That way the ZR's got back button focus.
Exactly, and it's very, so that is coming. So when I put it all together and we got Terry, then we'll discuss it because this is a good alternative for getting some angles. And Jeff, for us that are they want to lay down but want to have some angle, this could be a good alternative, correct?
Yeah, and you can handhold 400 2.8 as well. I think.
Exactly. No,
Like the hands like that
yeah.
for half an hour.
And I mentioned that when I attended long time ago the Formula One in my youth, I actually used something like this with a remote. And when they went into the pits, I put my camera, and that was a film camera, on the monopod, and I would trigger it remotely just to get the overview. So when I processed those photos, which I started and I made a special presentation on uh, my my trip into Formula One, I would show some of those angles. So
As long as you don't let it fall.
the other one here, talking about, is from Hudson Henry, correct?
So that one.
When he made that review, you guys watch that one. That was the one that got me into this adventure of buying the just you're buying the hoods, correct? So
That's the problem when you watch other guys' videos. You start spending more money. That's the problem.
sometimes I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have the regret coming
And
after.
then you realize that they are compromised. But certain people, like actually Hudson Henry is quite reliable, correct? He didn't
Yeah.
mention that issue that you cannot put that hood backwards on the planer. And of course, he didn't talk about the 2470. So, but when you do some hacking, there is always a price to pay, literally. So that's what I have.
It's ridiculous what they charge for these hoods.
Oh no, it's incredible. But
It's just incredibly
that's-
ridiculous. I mean, just stupid. I don't know how they can justify charging what they do for these hoods.
no.
Imagine if you lost the hood on the 800 PF, what it would cost you.
Oh no, and the old
You'd be taking out a loan from the bank.
I guess the old like my old 600 F4 G version, okay, which has and Roy has one of those as well. The carbon fiber hoods on those, they were like $2,000.
Yeah.
They were absolutely crazy.
There's a place you can download paper versions. You print it out and cut it out and stick it on.
I was gonna say I'd be making it out of toilet paper rolls or something.
Locally,
There you go.
there's a lot of third-party alternative nowadays for those goods. But like we discussed the same, like caps, correct? So, but for these this type of hoods with the little windows, I think we need some third manufacturers to start making some of those. So anyway, when I get my rig for low angle shooting finished, because I did some modification on what Steve recommended, and after discussing it with Terry, because he had now the first time experience on it, correct? Then we will discuss it here again.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, I remember, at one time, I was looking to go to Africa. It didn't end up happening, but I remember watching Steve's video here, and I'm like, Yeah, I got a nice monopod that would work perfect for that.
Exactly. We can get rid of this one. Yes, and we were talking about lens hoods. I mean, lens hoods are. I use lens hoods all the time, correct? But the question is, what is the right lens hoods that is appropriate? I used to, like Roy was mentioned the other day, like used to have the collapsible ones, correct?
Yeah,
Those
rubber
Yeah,
ones.
rubber ones. Yeah.
they were good as well. So I actually have another box with a bunch of those, but typically nowadays I carry the ones that come with the lenses.
Well, Roy has some from the 50s that are cracked now, I think. They didn't survive.
They just disintegrated for some reason.
Yeah.
The rubber lens hoods.
Oh, rubber. I
Yeah.
use the ones from the lens coat that I attach around.
Right?
Yeah, that's
That,
the only ones I use when I go on holidays.
But no, I mean, I use it, although you have to, Steve Perry makes some great, there are instances though where the lens hood could cause a heat distortion as well, and so you have to watch out for that. Sometimes you end up taking the lens hood off, and all of a sudden the image is a bit sharper than it was with the lens hood on. So
That's pretty
Yeah,
rare, though.
absolutely.
you know, it can happen. I mean, I had it happen to me one time. I took the lens hood off, I was fine, but yeah, thankfully not too often. But and then there's sometimes where just the temperature differences between, especially if you're shooting where uh, you know, you got a body of water and a very hot temperature, and the water's cooler, and you get all the, you know, you can run into problems depending on where your subject is that you're trying to take the picture. And no matter what you do, you're not going to get a sharp image. You know, it's just not. Sometimes you just got to
Absolutely.
wait a little while, and things kind of balance out, and then everything's okay. But it's a pain, you know, especially, you know, if you're doing nature photography, and you know, you're there before the sun comes up, and the ground is cold and nothing's warmed up yet, and you know, you can end up with a whole bunch of little difficulties, especially if you're shooting on something that's far away. You know, that's where things really get,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
you know, if it's close, you usually isn't a problem, but if you're shooting with your 800 and you're aiming at something that's hundreds of yards away, then you're going to have a problem.
yeah, definitely.
I still like lens hoods. They reduce flare and increase contrast,
Yeah, I mean, I always have them on my lenses, unless,
and they protect the lens.
yeah, I would rather break the lens hood than the glass. Or
No, if it's a
scratch.
600 f4, you wouldn't.
You just dropped yours off a cliff, Roy. So you're in a whole different territory. Your tripod and everything goes down.
No, that was just the lighting.
Very good.
Wow. All right. So that's a good time. I'm sending some images here, some text to Arthur here to remind people that I mean, that said, this was your submission, correct?
Yeah, we got the photo review on the 2nd of May. So get your images to me by noontime, May 1st, if not sooner. Sooner is preferable. And you know, you can send in up to 10 images. You want to send in one, you send in one. You got some great stuff from a trip that you just made. Don't feel free to send in 10. I always show whatever people send me. I got, you know, many people will say they send me, you know, 8 images or 10 images, and they say, well, just show the ones you want. It's like, no, you're doing this show and everybody that visits this channel a favor by taking your time to send the images in. I show every single one. I don't cut any out. So, and then sometimes we have, you know, 60 pictures for the photo review, and sometimes we've had, I think we had 100, didn't we, one time?
Yeah.
Or over 100 one time.
Yeah.
So the show will go as long as it needs to go to show all those images. And if we have a lot of images, then we just won't. Sometimes we just won't talk rumor stuff, to keep the show from being 8 hours long. I'm not looking to break Chuck's record of engagement. That's a
Yeah,
record
good for you.
that's in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I'm not trying to break that record. But I think you guys, for once, I think we should call it a night and leave on a normal scheduled departure here.
Yes.
But I think not having the scheduled presentation allowed us to just kind of like wing it, like Chuck did a lot of times, and we engage in a lot of different topics of discussion, and I think it made the show. It's a good thing to do once in a while. So we shouldn't feel bad if we have a gap once in a while where we don't have a scheduled, presentation, because we can all find things to talk about. There's always something to talk about.
And learn from each other, correct? That's important to say,
Yeah.
correct? Because there is a lot of learning about stuff that, like you say, you see something in the internet, you try it, and then you figure out some of the potential pitfalls. Right?
Let me just check to see if I got anything in my. Okay, I just want to make sure that if Arthur wants to send something in, I'll go a few more minutes if he wants to send it in.
David Stewart, yeah.
I'll ask him here, and we'll give you a minute here if he wants to send in a image he was talking about with the eagle. We could show it before we call it quits, but otherwise we'll show it.
Yes.
We'll show it for the next photo review.
Something interesting here, Jeff, because I see Bossman making a comment on the chat on my iPad, but he's not on the chat in here on Restream.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think that happens too with the.
With Facebook?
I think if you're.
Because he was before, correct? I was showing his comments before.
Yeah.
So it's just the last comment they just you make. By the way, you say that we can go easily another hour as usual.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think Arthur is looking for. He's trying to get it together.
Yeah. We'll give him a few minutes.
Yeah, and if not, Arthur, send it to Jeff, and then you have it ready for May the 2nd.
Yeah.
You see, not
And
now he's here.
but
Yeah. So
but
anyway,
so for I did well, here is that little teaser, whether it be something that's really going to happen or not. If Nikon did come out with a rangefinder style digital camera with interchangeable lenses that was significantly cheaper than a Leica, would anybody buy it?
ooh.
I would buy it.
I would buy it
if it was reasonably priced. I would consider it for street photography.
so that is in your.
It all depends. It all depends on that.
Well, would it be a fixed lens or would it be?
I wouldn't get it if it was a fixed lens. I think the way he was showing it, he showed it as an interchangeable lens mount.
Oh,
So
okay.
if it was interchangeable lenses and they came out with some really high quality pancake lenses or smaller lenses, to go along with it, that would be good for street photography. I would think about it, but not if it's like a $7,000 Leica. I wouldn't. But if it
So
was,
would it take F mount or is it just the plain Z mount? Because you can get the F adapter, but
no, I think it would be the way he showed it. It looked like it was going to be a Z mount, but it's a theoretical thing, so I don't know if it's really going to happen or not. But it would be. Who knows? I mean, it's with the delay of what everybody thought the Z9 II would have already been announced last December, and maybe be able to buy one in this spring, and that's not happening. You got to wonder, why is that? Is it red integration of red stuff into the camera that's holding things up, or just extra testing they got to do because they added so many feet or adding so many features to the camera or what have you? I don't know, but if their resources are tied up and you can't get that out when I think people were anticipating it, then I don't know if they, how easy it would be for them to come out with a totally different camera, like a rangefinder style camera, and be able to do that and support it and get it out. It's I think they got and we've talked before, like we mentioned, faster wide angle primes and maybe another wide angle zoom or two, and then that's not even getting into and I mentioned a 200 millimeter macro, but that's not even getting into if they're ever going to create tilt shift lenses like they had for F mount and make them for Z mount or not. So,
Okay.
there's still a handful of things they could do, but
it would be strange because, of course, with the bigger opening of C lens, right? In what is supposed to be a smaller model, smaller body and rectangular body of a Ranger camera, correct? And it will not be. I mean, I presume when you look at through the viewfinder, it will still be like a mini monitor, correct? It will not be like the old ones, correct?
yeah, I don't know. It's a little confusing on do you go 80? Do you go all in retro, or do you go 75%? Or I don't know. It's
Because
I think I have no doubt in my mind that they can come up with something that would compete with a interchangeable lens like a camera for thousands of dollars less. I know they could do that if they wanted to. It's just they got to decide whether they feel there's a market. Well, you can't say there's no market for it because that's all that Leica makes, and they're not out of business. Now, they've almost been out of business a few times, but once they came out with the Q series and was it the SL2?
yeah,
Once they
they
came
got
out
the
with,
SL3 now.
they came
Yeah.
out with those models, then their business really improved. Business outlook improved greatly, and they're making good money. So
from the stylist point of view, Jeff, it would be more like I mean, it would be like I mean, it will be like different, correct? Because it will be the rangefinder style, correct? But with a bigger opening uh, for a Z lens, will look strange, correct? Because if you do it with a style, will you put a tiny monitor in the place where you look to the rangefinder, or will you put a old style optical rangefinder which is not aligned with the lens? I,
Yeah, good
me,
question.
it doesn't make too much sense for that reason because it will be like having a CF or a C6 with a tiny video monitor on the one side. So what's the purpose?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think it depends on what the size is, what the weight. I mean, Well, let's put it this way: Leica cameras aren't really super light. At least, well, let's put it back in the day. They certainly weren't light, and I know the M3 having that is not a light camera by any means. Even though it's a rangefinder, it's not light. It's of course was brass body and it's pretty heavy, pretty chunky, but not not horribly so. But I mean, the SP. The Nikon SP back in the 50s was much, which was lighter, which was definitely lighter. But I don't know. We'll see what they do. I mean,
We'll see what they do. Yeah.
Depends on depending what they do with it, and depending what the price point is. I mean, I might consider it. I mean, it'd be nice to have something that. It's always nice to have a more stealthy type of camera if you're doing street photography. That would
be. The Z52 is very good for it. It's very small. That's what my wife uses now.
Yeah.
So Luis, you wanted to share that photo?
Yeah, as we were waiting for somebody else's photo, I had.
He couldn't find it because his dad passed away.
Yeah, so we could talk about this image and then call it a night, I think.
Yeah.
Excellent. No, I was going to send this one to you, Jeff, but I thought, well, I can show you now as well. I took this picture like almost a year ago in Wales.
Yeah, beautiful.
And we went on a boat to see like an island where they have a huge colony. This is with the Z8 and the 600 PF.
All right.
And it's f8, 1/2000th of a second, ISO 500.
Ah, beautiful.
2500th of a second, which I would need a little bit. You see, the wings are not perfectly still, but I don't mind.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I don't get. Yeah, I mean that helps. That just helps kind of show the the subject in motion better. I think
Yeah.
And what I like is the water spots or the droplets. So that's crystal clear.
That is true. Yeah.
And also,
and as Gustavo knows, being on a boat and these birds are fast, it's difficult to focus no matter what you do.
Exactly.
They're difficult to track. But once the Z8 or the Z9 tracks, then it's okay. This picture is actually it's a huge crop from the bottom right, I think.
Yes.
He was almost going out of the camera, hence this tight crop. I had nothing else to the right, to be honest.
Yeah. That's. I mean, you have to have a lot of working space when you're trying to do that boat photography. Otherwise, you will not get everything. Right?
So as you move to the right, in this case, as the bird is trying to take off, you just lose it. I mean, there were a few others that I think I sent already with them flying, and that's easier to track than if they are over the ocean, over the waves. It's more difficult for you to get him on the.
Yeah.
In that case, as I think Gustavo mentioned, a zoom is actually better than a 600 PF.
Yes.
Because you're really limited to a particular distance where it's comfortable for you to follow. And with the zoom, you can zoom in and out and more easily follow a bird which is 20 yards or 60 yards away. With the 600 PF, the distance needs to be kind of correct from the beginning. Otherwise, you cannot easily follow, let's say.
Well, yeah, and depending on whether you're shooting from shore or shooting from a boat, you can't always adjust your distance.
No. And there was a very friendly lady just in front of me that I was trying to avoid with my movements as well. So that was.
No, in that case, panning with a bird, it's your friend for sure.
Yeah.
That's what the zoom lenses are fantastic.
Yeah, but it's a nice bird to try and go and look for.
You got good detail on the whites, which is difficult for this type of bird.
Yeah, I I did not have the camera on auto ISO. Once I kind of figured out, okay, this exposure is okay, I just locked it. Because if a bird would be flying by, and with auto ISO, I would have to start compensating all the time. So I prefer to just lock the exposure and just play a little bit with it.
Certainly,
That's right.
situation that you are is okay. Is the boat keep on the same angle with respect to the bird? So that's probably okay.
Exactly. My experience on a boat is that auto ISO generally okay, but not on a boat. Then I'm playing
Well,
with the settings.
if you are working here, correct, and then these birds start flying, and then you get the sky,
Yeah,
then your exposure will be completely
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
But if you use auto ISO, in that case, it will work, correct? So it depends on where
It
this.
depends, yeah. But if but if the light is constant, I prefer to lock it. Anyway, everybody has its own technique as long as it works.
Yeah,
So
I got
a
I got one image to show you
yeah,
before we go.
a question on one image. As you guys know, I have been going through some of my archive, correct, and digitizing some of my old photos, correct, and and and, and in some of the um, and so and let me show this one here. Oops, I'm sorry. Let me see if I bring yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. And so on my so this is taken on film, probably on the F3, correct? On the German Grand Prix in 1989, correct? Now I was panning, correct? So this photo is as it is, locally scan it and clean the film, still preserving a lot of detail, correct? But one thing I notice is that if you look at the letters in the background, which is not important, it shows like a big look rolling shutter effect. Right now, the question for you guys and Roy, you tell me, did we have rolling shutter effect when we use film, or because particularly when you're doing this panning, why do we have these letters, or is it just an effect of the angle?
Because they weren't electronic. They were, the
I mean,
mirror,
it
right?
was a
It
mechanical
was a regular shutter.
exactly. So it was
Yeah.
not it was exposed at the same time. But
Right.
I have seen several images, and this is one example on my old images, particularly in motor racing, that the some of the background is shown like a rolling shutter effect, but it's a mechanical shutter. It doesn't make sense that to you guys or not?
Whew.
It looks a lot better than some of the rolling shutter I've seen before. So,
Yeah, but we know,
yeah.
in electronic we
And
know
you're moving from right to left, so you're following the vehicle. So,
yeah following the vehicle. So
yeah.
the top of the image in a classical rolling shutter effect, correct? It gets exposed first because it's reading the image. But in with a mechanical shutter, it opens the shutter. Now I know some of the cameras have the front shutter and the back shutter, correct? And I don't know whether that circumstance will create a rolling shutter effect. I don't know, Roy. You are the professional here.
I don't know.
I'm still happy with the image, correct? So, so consider that it was taken so long ago.
Yeah, 89.
Yes.
You shouldn't show anything with dates on it, Gustavo, because
Yeah, that's
I tell you, I got some interesting one. I will make another presentation of some of the my Formula One era, right? Particularly the ones that I attended with the teams and all that kind of stuff. But I have been going through so I got some few nice images. So anyway, that's
good.
a question, guys.
yeah, I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything.
I don't know, but it's not a single image, Jeff. A lot of times that I'm doing the panning, I see the letters in the back or the effects in the back to show. I, we need to put this to film expert.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Anyway, so Jeff, are we done for tonight or
Yeah,
not?
I'm gonna show one image.
Okay.
I'm just gonna show
Well,
one image.
he sent two, so through your email, I think.
There we go.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Buffalo heads.
Buffalo heads. So this was one of the rare times that I was able to, even with the 800. I mean, these ducks they don't like getting close to you, and they typically are. You hold up your lens. They see you put your eye in the back of your camera. They go underwater. So I mean, this was unusual to be able to get the females and the males together like this. So I was really happy with it. And it's don't often get that opportunity with these birds. They're really
They look nice, yeah.
really kind of a pain in the neck to get. But that's what makes it a challenge, and that's what makes it where you don't give up, You just say, I'm gonna keep staying here for a while, and I'm gonna get these suckers. But,
Very difficult to expose those bufferhead.
yeah, and mergansers are the other ones that kind of behave the same way. They could be 10 feet from the bank, 10 feet from the shore, and then as you're walking where they see you, then all of a sudden they're 50 feet from the shore. They're like, you're not going to get my picture. This isn't a Kodak moment. We're not going to let you take our picture. But anyway, I just want to thank everybody that joined us tonight in the chat. And Arthur, sorry about your loss. That's a tough thing. Been there myself. So just hang in there and think of the good times. That's what you got to do. But thank you everybody on the panel here tonight, joining as always. And Luis, thanks for popping in. Appreciate that. And
I woke up just in time to join you guys.
You just woke up just in time to go back to bed now.
Yeah, I will go back to bed now.
So let's say my good nights to everybody.
Bye-bye, guys.
Everybody, and we'll see you. Hopefully, submit your images for the May 2nd photo review, and we'll see you then. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.